Hey, hey. How you doing, Becca?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. But before we get into intros, I'll say I am definitely very tired. I don't know. I couldn't fall asleep last night because we'll talk about our product hunt for sure. But I'm just like I was super excited and wired last night. I like didn't matter what like I think you could have shot me with like 5 elephant tranquilizers and I probably would still be bouncing off the walls. That's like how much I could not fall asleep. So I used it for good. I was up, so I was like, I'll just do a few things. But anyways, I digress. I digress. You want to kick us off?
I was up pretty early this
Okay.
morning, so I was up at 4 a.m. my time to get things started. So I feel you on the being tired part. I've had 4 cups of coffee and it's 11 a.m., but it's all good.
Yeah, no,
Welcome,
totally.
folks, to our welcome to our latest lunch week stream where every day this week at lunchtime, it's launch time for Open Sauce. So we've been dropping some really cool features and things that we've been working on over the past week. On Monday, we dropped our new intro course for maintainers. So becoming a maintainer, you can check that out on intro.opensauce.pizza. On Tuesday, we dropped Workspaces 1.5, which gave us new issue and PR tables where you can look at all of the repositories in your workspace. You can filter and see what's going on with all of them and identify different things like trends. And we looked at Create React App in particular. And yesterday, we dropped our repository pages with the lottery factor. And that's a way to assess whether a project is at risk for if one of the key contributors leaves. So that was pretty cool. And we're still going to talk about the lottery factor today because we are talking about our StarSearch tool. And this is a brand new feature. We just launched it. So if you have an open source account, you can use it starting today. You can check out all of our demos on social media or on our YouTube site. We'll be doing some demos live today. And you can check us out on Product Hunt. So we're over there today and we love your support. We love feedback. We think it's super important to our product and being able to grow it in a way that makes the most sense for the open source community. But it's a really great tool. And Nick, do you want to tell us a little bit more about it?
About Star Search? Yeah, for sure. Sorry, my brain melted for a second. Um, cool. I got distracted because I'm monitoring the chat and I have YouTube muted, but I saw your lips moving and I didn't hear you and I was like, "Oh no, did I just lose Becca's audio?" So, I don't think I did, but anyways, that kind of stressed me out for a second. Um yeah, so Star Search I guess I could just should I load it up just to show where it's at or just kind of go into it first? Kind of I guess I could say like what I think it's like. So as a child of the who grew up in the 80s, there was this television show called Star Search, and it continued on in the 90s. I don't know if it's still around now. And funnily enough, there was a Canadian version of it at some point, which I didn't know, and even though I lived in Canada. So there's a side note, but there's a hilarious video of Ryan Gosling dancing uh, on Canadian Star Search in the 90s. So just Google that because that alone is just worth it. But essentially,
Definitely Google
yeah,
it. It's amazing.
yeah, yeah. Uh, Basically, the idea of Star Search, that television show, is like they're looking for new talent. So it's kind of like the equivalent of maybe like an American Idol these days or The Voice. But it back then it was or America's Got. There's so many shows like that, but basically it's finding some kind of talent. So we kind of went with that name because it was just fun and a bit nostalgic for some of us. And the idea is like Star Search is we're kind of coining it as Copilot, but for Git history, and that opens just a lot of things for people. And one of the interesting things about that is you can search up information about repositories. You can look up information about contributors. there's like a ton of things you can do with this, so it's pretty exciting times, to be honest. So and you were mentioning lotto factor there. That's we're definitely going to talk about that again today, because we can ask, about a particular project, what its lottery factor is. And I can come back real quickly. I'm just gonna go to the pairing view, Becca. I'm not showing StarSearch quite just yet, but uh, we were talking about workspaces and then repository pages. And I brought John in. Sorry, John. Are you? uh,
I'm here, surprise.
yeah, yeah. No, I forgot when I switched that view. Apologies. Uh,
I
that's
was ready.
John.
It's okay.
Okay, okay, cool.
The
We should
the
probably.
curtain has fallen. There's no secret
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah, exactly. Surprise, it's not two people, it's three. What is it? The three people, three kids in a trench coat,
That
uh
is open sauce. There's three of us in a trench coat.
yeah, exactly. So
Just trying to make pizza.
I'll let John continue here in a sec, but we were talking about repository pages the other day, and one of the things about repository pages is the lottery factor, and we went in depth in that yesterday. If you want to check that out, Becca, I don't know if you can find yesterday's live stream from YouTube. You can pop that in the chat if you don't mind. Um, but it's great to see the lottery factor on the repositories page with all the other graphs we have here surfacing, relevant information for a particular repository. But um, when it comes to StarSearch, we can kind of actually pull in some of these information and charts and widgets. We have like not many in there at the moment, but we have the framework to pull in things now in terms of making enriched user experiences when you're querying StarSearch. But uh, I guess maybe I'll let you, John, go ahead now and kind of explain. I kind of gave the
Yep.
nostalgic of what StarSearch was. Well, I guess you
Yeah.
probably heard me, so. But
Yeah.
maybe if you want to take it from here.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, the sort of ethos and heart of the product is being able to, find unique insights and find out like a co-pilot for your history, your Git history. Um, but I think under the hood, there's a lot of like interesting technologies and things that getting just a little bit of understanding on that can kind of help you, use it for maybe the technically out there. So
Yeah,
in the end, it's interfacing with a few what we sort of call agents, these large language model agents that have
yeah,
different sort of tools and understandings of different services we have to then go and answer your query. The primary thing on that is uh, an understanding of how to search our pristine GitHub data for pull requests and issues, and doing primarily a vector search on that. So asking
yeah.
questions about specific technologies and specific repositories, or even going broad about like entire ecosystems of things. You can kind of do like that big search, needle in the haystack search sort of thing to give you
Mm-hmm.
relevant information. So example, one of my favorite things to use it for is trying to find you know experts or people in the field, if maybe for a specific technology I'm working on. This is pretty important in some open source ecosystems, especially like Kubernetes or the cloud native ecosystem, where
Yeah.
you you really kind of need some buy-in from relevant and influential people within the community, just to like get a good understanding of how things are done. So like nobody just shows up to any of the Kubernetes repositories anymore and just like makes a change. It's like there's a whole process of like going to like a special interest group and like getting buy-in from them, and then having like basically an RFC and then making the changes and all that stuff. Um, all that really starts all that really starts from, in my opinion, from the human perspective. So just like figuring out who those people are, where they kind of exist, just what their usernames are, so you can start like connecting with them. And Star Search makes that like ridiculously easy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a cool subset of technologies all coming together to, I think, bring a lot of power to the open source community.
Yeah, no, totally. Let's see here. Becca's saying she can't hear you even though I can hear you, and
Oh no.
but I mean she's catching what you're saying, but she's catching it through a bit of a delay through YouTube. But I think she might. pop off and pop back on, but can
Sure.
you can hear me though, Beck? Oh no, well, we'll see in a second.
We're
Um,
baking the pizza live.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the beauty of live streaming. It's
Scuff stream.
yeah. Well, like we've talked about this before because I know you've done a lot of polished YouTube content, I think, or you've definitely done some. I still that's something I want to do at some point, but I just don't have the time right now, and this is what I love
Yeah.
about a live stream. And people expect it to, I mean, obviously we're trying to make it as good as possible, but stuff
Yeah.
happens, right?
Yeah.
But
Stuff
um
happens. That's the fun of going live. The YouTube stuff is fun, but it's you definitely have to spend a lot more time editing and writing a
yeah.
script and stuff. This is just off the cuff. So we're doing it live. We're bringing you the Star Search spiciness. But yeah, do we want to maybe show that little example that I was kind of talking about? So you
Yeah.
could ask a question in Star Search. Yeah, you go up to the top here, Star Search Copilot, but forget history. And a question, maybe you're coming into the Kubernetes ecosystem and you're trying to make some changes with how persistent volumes are managed in Kubernetes, which is really just a way that this distributed cloud platform can handle disks and storage and stuff. So
Okay.
maybe ask like who has worked on persistent volume claims in Kubernetes, and we'll see kind of what it comes up with. Or you could ask about anything. You could ask about kubectl. You could ask about networking policy. I mean, there's so many different things inside of the platform, and
Yeah.
that's another part of it. Is like, where do you even start with some of this stuff? Because some of these open source projects and communities and ecosystems are just so expansive, like so much going on. So here it
Yeah.
is, actually pulling out very relevant information. Oh, did we ship the little? I didn't know we
Oh
shipped that.
yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, I
that's so
merged that.
cool,
Yeah,
man.
we can talk
We never
about that
stop
after.
shipping.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I can't hear you, Becca, but you can hear John now. That's awesome. Cool. You know what? I think let me bring Becca back in because her
I can
video.
hear you,
Well,
Becca.
yeah, yeah, no, it's just the way I'm set up. But let me put Becca back in here. Uh, it's just like the way I use OBS, and there's
Yeah, yeah,
closed
yeah.
captioning and stuff. Anyways,
Man, you want to talk
she
about
should go
open
through
source
this.
Connection
ecosystems?
was really bad, and
Okay.
John's mouth kept moving. I'm like, wow, it's really. And then I checked YouTube, and I'm like, no, you can definitely hear him there.
That's good.
Okay, yeah, okay. Well, I'm not glad it was your internet connection, but I'm glad it wasn't an issue with the stream because, as I always say before any stream,
Hmm.
I have no problem like chatting on a live stream, live coding, being thrown into the unknown. The things that stress me out are, can I hear the people and is the video working? So, whew. All right, cool.
We did it.
Yeah, cool.
We
Yeah,
did
well,
it.
I'm glad you can hear John again. So yeah, so John was just saying like something we could ask like very specific about Kubernetes. So who has worked on persistent volume claims in Kubernetes? And we did get some results. And I don't know if you want to speak to these results because I haven't really worked in in that project at all, John. So like I don't have a lot of context, but
Hmm.
uh, but it clearly it gave what, how many here? Five. Yeah, it gave five people here.
Hmm. Yeah, and let me pop over to the stream real quick so I can just like see this result a little better. Um,
Okay, yeah.
but yeah, I mean, like that's an accurate representation, I would say, of like recent people that have been working on this and stuff. And this can kind of
Okay.
be almost, especially in a massive, really ginormous project or community like this can be kind of the start of that foothold of like
Yeah.
starting to understand who relevant people are, some of the prior art, even like it's giving us pull requests that have been made recently. So even just starting on some of these projects that have thousands and thousands of files where it's like, what do I even do? Like finding some of the prior
Okay.
art, I think is really nice, and finding people who have done pull requests like this in the past.
Yeah.
That's another use case that I really like is I found myself using StarSearch to try to find like people doing the thing I'm trying to do
Mm-hmm.
previously. Where like
Okay.
you can kind of do that with Google where you're like GitHub pull request, Nest JS blah 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 thing I'm trying to do, right? And then it
Yeah.
might pop up something. But this is really because we have such pristine data off of GitHub, and then passing it through a bunch of this like model processing. we can kind of start to unravel a lot of that for those like little needle in the haystack searches. So that seems to be where
Yeah.
I've been gravitating for a lot of like my personal use cases, is kind of these little needle in the haystack searches that
Okay.
are yeah, maybe a little more kind of the narrow downside of it, but we could also go
Okay.
broad where we look at the entire ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So you could, I mean, another one in here that I think is really great and I like a lot is the lottery factor on
Yeah.
Kubernetes, and being able to look at that. I know Beck and I were chatting on that about Twitter, I think, or maybe it was Product Hunt, but uh, you can also, yeah, get a good understanding of like how well the distribution of commits in Kubernetes is across like a bunch of these different maintainers and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say I zoom this in quite a bit so people can see it on screen, but if I just zoom out to what it normally is, like basically you've got the lottery factor here and then you got some information, but I'm just gonna zoom back in just so folks can see a bit better.
Mhm.
But the thing to point out here is so this is we were talking about this briefly, but this is the same graph that was on the repository page. So like if we go to app dot, I always forget to do this. Kubernetes. We have a search feature and I always forget to use it. So, okay, so let's go to Kubernetes. And that embedded lottery factor graph we just saw is one here, the same one.
Right.
So just wanted to point that out. Oh, no, we don't need to go to Kubernetes right now. And yeah, so just to speak to that, so like I'll just click on another one here. This is for asking about the React Router project. So um, we currently only have the one widget that we embed. Well, I'm kind of lying. I'll let this run its course, but it's still popping out. But in the future, like depending on the information we're returning, we're definitely going to start embedding other kinds of widgets. So I would say expect to see some graphs pop in here at some point related to whatever the question you're asking is.
Mhm.
If it makes sense to surface a widget. Um, but the other thing, because you asked about it, John, you're like, oh, we shipped that. If we come back up here, if I just ask with this canned suggestion here.
Mhm.
What type of pull request has Brandon worked on? Just give it a second here.
Yep.
And Brandon's been busy. He's been cooking as well.
He's been
Um,
cooking. A lot of good
yeah,
analog stuff. The king of Angular, or so I'm told.
yeah. So, we're like I said, we're going to continue to enrich this UI where it makes sense, user interface. So we have these links that, and maybe I don't know how deep we want to go into because I know you gave I'll drop a post to it, but
Sure.
you had a webinar about timescale use that we use for a time series database and stuff. I don't think we need to go into all those weeds today because I
Yeah.
think I'd encourage people to check out the blog post as well as the webinar. I think there's a recording. Um, but in regards to that, the API it's giving us a streamed response, and
Right.
uh, basically in this particular case, we have a user profile here, and now we have these hover cards, and this is something that exists throughout open source, but now we're able to enrich the responses from StarSearch with this information too. So that was like
Yeah.
a little value add I did in the 25th hour last night because I was too excited to fall asleep. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah. Yeah.
I digress. I digress.
Yeah. Yeah. There's yeah, it's a bunch of technologies that are kind of making this thing possible. Obviously large language models, but in the end, like a lot of this stuff is software, and good AI engineering just kind of ends up being good, like scaled data platforms.
Yeah.
That's really what this is like we've scaled up a bunch of our data pipelines, our database
Mhm.
stuff, et cetera, and now we can serve a lot of this data at scale. So the
Yeah.
LLMs have the access, they can do it, so they do.
Yeah. And uh we haven't like we're not gonna go deep into time series databases today, but one
Mhm.
thing I definitely want to stress is the information we're getting is very recent. Like we're talking like if we go to like a repository page or like even like just everywhere within the application, like if we come to a
Mhm.
profile, I'm not trying to shill my profile, it's just easy to get to right now, but
Oh, get that
this
bag.
yeah, yeah. Um, but this information here is why can't I scroll right now? Is it because I zoomed out? I don't know what I did. Um, yeah, so you can see here like these style tweaks here that are like the recent pull requests. That's something I did literally just before the stream. And like if you open up a pull request or an issue like right now in about anywhere between 2 to 5 minutes, it starts showing up in the application. And I think it's definitely awesome we have this AI component, but the fact that we have this like so fresh out of the oven data too is like I think it's a big unlocker.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's crazy that we can consume that stuff as fast as we do. I like to think about it kind of like I say this all the time, the like fire hose of stuff. There's just like so much coming out, and then we kind of try our best with some nozzles to consume that. And yeah, a big part of that is our time series database, Postgres with timescale. Yeah, gotta love Postgres. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Cool. I guess where did we want to go from here? I know we're gonna be talking about a lot of stuff.
Can we go over to the product hunt page?
Yeah. Yep, that's a good idea, and I'll drop that in the chat again for folks. Let's go. I'm gonna use our short links because I don't actually know the product hunt link. Cool. All right, so yeah, here we go. So we are live on Product Hunt. Do you want to speak to this, Becca? I don't know if Becca can hear me.
Yeah, sure. So we're super proud of this product that we've created, and um, we've got it over on Product Hunt today. Your support would be really, really helpful. So you can leave a comment, check it out. But just want to say again that StarSearch is available to anyone that has an open source account. It's free to have an open source account. But we've got some really great comments so far. I'm going to drop one in the chat that's from Alex Patterson. It's an interesting use case where he's using it to find podcast guests. So it's not something that we necessarily tested for, but this is like the kind of feedback that we want. We want to see how people are using it, how it's going to be useful to people. And so, yeah, being able to see that information can be really helpful. And you can check out more. There's one of the demo videos. I'll share the demo videos too in a minute. And then you can check out our description of what's going on over there. So definitely check that out. Here is the link to Alex's comment. And let's see. He says, oh, wait, is it? Yep, there it is. He normally spends hours in his week hunting for guests on codercat.dev. Shout out to that podcast. I've been on that podcast. Nick, I think you've been on that podcast, right?
I haven't. I think they said at one point like, hey, you should come on, but I've streamed with Brittany, who I don't know if she's always my old coworker Brittany Postma. I don't know if she's always on CoderCat Dev these days. I've seen a couple recently, and I think I might have just saw Alex, but I could be wrong. I saw like some TikTok highlights, and it looked like it was just Alex, but yeah, no, it's Oh, did I drop the product hunt link twice? Whoops. Sorry. I guess you have to upvote twice then. Can you do that? I don't know.
Unfortunately, no.
No. One of them was mine. I dropped the link to the comment.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. Side note, I was writing in Slack. I got a little stressed. I was like, how come I can't scroll on the website? And I was like, I think it must have been something on my browser temporarily because everybody else is like, nope, scrolling in the site works. So I had a mild panic attack for a second. Well, not panic attack, but mild panic, like our custom emoji in Slack there, the little shaky guy.
Oh, comfy panic.
Yeah, comfy panic. A big fan of comfy panic.
It's probably my favorite emoji. It really resembles how I feel sometimes.
Yeah,
it's good
totally,
stuff.
totally. Yeah, like did we want to highlight any of the comments people have been making on Product Hunt, Becca, or do we want to do that later or chat about something else for now? I know we're kind of doing like it's lunch week all week.
Yeah,
I
we
feel like
should
today's a bit of a
definitely
potluck.
highlight We should definitely highlight some
Yep.
of those comments. That the second link in YouTube. There's a
Okay.
delay. I'm sorry. I'll say this and then I'll pause and try and figure things out on my end. The second link that is posted, that's Product Hunt. That's the link to Alex's
Oh,
post
okay.
about how he uses product, how he potentially will use Star Search to find guests. So
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna pause here. I'm gonna let John and Nick take over, and then I'm gonna try and figure out why there's a delay on my end.
Yeah, no, it's good. And I forgot. I was like, damn it, I'm interrupting her again, and then I forgot there was a bit of a delay. So, um, yeah. So yeah, we can take a peek here. Also, thanks for commenting, Alex, and always good to see you, even if you're only a little avatar in front of me at the moment. Um, so yeah, so you were asking who can I interview on my podcast, Coding Cat Dev, about TypeScript projects that are trending, and got back a bunch of people. And I'm curious. Let me go ahead and just run the same query just so we can see it live. Famous last words for a demo, I know, but here we go. So, all right. So I'm gonna pretend I'm Alex here, and who can I interview on my podcast? Oh, did I? Hold on a sec. Did I do that right? Oh, oops. I think when I resized it with the zoom, I did something funky. Um, okay. So I don't think it's the same results, and that I think that makes sense though, John, right? Because like
Yeah.
stuff coming back from anything AI related is not deterministic, even if like
Yeah.
it's not functional programming. And I don't know if you want like, well, one, this is cool that Alex was able to surface some guests potentially for his podcast, but I
Hmm.
don't know if you want to maybe just touch on that point about like LLMs and like I
Sure.
don't know what the proper term is. It's not accuracy, but it's like, if I ask the same question two, three times, why am I not getting the same answer?
Yeah, I think, and granted, my background is not, academic or data science or any of that. And I think that is a bit of what the industry is kind of wrestling with, is that like we're sort of in this weird growing phase where we were like it was all very academic for a very long time,
Yeah.
and we're sort of transitioning a lot of that into like real product, which doesn't always really track with like how you think about building stuff. For
Mm-hmm.
example, retrieval augmented generation RAG is really just a silly way to just say like we're giving additional context to a large language model. Um, it really is. It's just like traditional search methodologies and things.
Okay.
But the where I was going with this is, I think the academic term for that is non-deterministic nature, where
Okay.
the neural networks under the hood, and I think even the transformer technology that powers these large language models, they're
Yeah.
non-deterministic in the sense that um, I think you can like kind of open kind of open the box a little bit to see what like individual neuron nodes in the neural network are doing. But
Mm-hmm.
as a whole, it's basically, I think, impossible from my understanding to determine from like point A to the end how a neural
Yeah.
network is going to respond to something. I think you could get pretty
Yeah.
close predicting, but uh, we also pepper in there vector search, which uses a specific search algorithm and index called hierarchical something small world.
Okay.
I know it's all these academic terms, right?
Yeah.
Hierarchical
Yeah.
navigable small worlds. And that's just a fancy way of saying like, we have this index on our vector data that
Okay.
returns slightly less accurate results, and we trade off that for speed. So
Okay.
when we do these searches, we're trading off like 100% accuracy for just like more speed, which I think is okay because you get like just slightly nuanced varying answers every
Yeah.
time you hit it. Which I think one of the things that we know we're going to need to tackle soon is probably being able to like preserve these and go back to previous
Mm-hmm.
questions and like kind of a chat history, because these are all just like one shot right now. So you kind of need to
Yeah.
save it each time. But it works really well for kind of a beginning proof of concept. We're just, as Brian, our founder, would say, we're just getting started.
Yeah. 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 Now I want to sing Black Eyed Peas. Let's get it started.
Let's get it started. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Becca's still trying to sort out her delay there, but whenever she pops back, I'll mention her. Don't worry about the delay. It's I just have to remember, or we need to remember, just pause like 3 seconds after we speak to just let her go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
But you were talking about vector databases, and I don't want to go too deep into it because again, I encourage people to check out the blog post and also, uh, honestly, for yourselves, just read up on vector databases. But the
Mhm.
kind of the kind of high level that I've understood, and please fill in the gaps if I'm like way off here, but uh, so vectors, it's a mathematical term. It's an array of numbers,
Mhm.
and then there's stuff like, okay, this is John, this is Nick, and we get stored in a database, and there's some calculation that decides that John's vector is, I don't know, 1 comma 2 comma 3 or whatever, and mine's like 4 comma 5 comma 6 maybe. And
Right.
then like all these things that people are interested in get put in these vector databases, and then there's obviously a mathematical way to figure out, like, basically I think it's the nearest neighbor algorithm. So basically, how are these two things closely related, and then some mathematical calculation happens via either the nearest neighbor algorithm or some
Right.
similar
Right.
algorithm. And that's how we're able to say, like, who works at open source, and then we could get like yourself and myself versus like Alex, who posted the question about the codingcat.dev. Is that kind of like a kind of high level of what it is?
Yeah, exactly. At a high level. Again, it's all rather academic. But in the end, yeah, you get these like listed numbers. These listed numbers kind of end up being a snapshot understanding from these embedding machine learning models that can kind of just give you those, really what they are
Mhm.
distances that it kind of
Okay.
understands from like one point to the next. And the one thing I've learned in this space building a lot of this stuff is that everything everything in that an AI, a machine learning model, a neural network, a large language model, everything they
Yeah.
understand is just numbers, really. Even when you send
Yeah.
some like text, like ask a question in StarSearch, that in the
Yeah.
end actually ends up getting encoded as basically numbers that it can understand, and then it spits back in the end numbers that it can then like re-encode back to text. So
Okay.
that was a long way of saying, like, yes, it's these vectors are kind of like the snapshot understandings, and then you can kind of compare them with this like nearest neighbor search algorithm.
Okay.
Yeah, if anybody, I mean, a big piece of this technology, if you're curious, how we built this, was PG Vector, which is a Postgres extension for storing vectors and then also doing these similarity type searches. So PG Vector, there it is. It's been getting a lot of love recently in the
Whoops.
open
Went the
source
wrong way.
ecosystem. Oh no, the secret sauce. That's okay.
Yeah. That was just our script. Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay, cool.
PG Vector. It's great. I endorse it
Cool. And
officially.
I see Becca, you're back. If you still have the delay, don't worry about it. I was just telling John, like, we'll wait like a second, or we'll pause, after we say something to let you go ahead there. So I don't think you need to drop off again unless there's something else. But yeah, I'm not sure when you pop back, but basically, I was just asking John briefly, like high level, if we could just talk about vector databases and what they are. So we were just kind of summarizing it there.
Mhm.
Um,
Is Becca back? I don't see her.
oh, you know what it is? I'm looking at the frozen. I'm I'm in the YouTube
Oh.
chat, and I have the video paused, and I was like, oh, she's back, and then nope, she's not back. Yeah, yeah.
Funny.
So never mind. I'm speaking to a ghost. I'll switch to the
Surprise.
OBS screen so I can see it live. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Um,
There's another thing I'll say is there's a bunch of other, yeah, I mean, PG Vector isn't the only one. I mean, we could pop open a bunch of these other great vector database technologies. Like Quadrant is another one that we've used, and a very early iteration of this that shout out to Anush and
Sweet.
Divya, some of our
Yeah.
interns built last summer.
Yeah.
That was like a huge kind of Kickstarter for getting us building a bunch of this stuff and kind of experimenting and iterating with these technologies. Chroma DB is another really good one. Pinecone. I mean, there's tons of these technologies these days. So
Okay.
yeah, I think vector stores are going to be yes, as AI obviously becomes more and more part of everything, it seems.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
bit I think building with vector stores is going to be big, but PG vector is great just because it's already fast enough. It's very well integrated into the Postgres ecosystem. I think most managed Postgres database providers have Postgres now. Like
Yeah.
Supabase is a big PG vector provider. So yeah, I endorse it. It's great.
Cool, cool. I know Becca's not yet, so I'm gonna kind of go with some stuff that Chad outlined that we want to discuss. So we've talked about what is Star Search. I guess this is open-ended question, John, but
Mhm.
where do you envision Star Search going? Like I talked briefly about how we're definitely going to enrich the UI based on like stuff we get back, but is there any, again, open-ended, but anything else you envision in regards to Star Search at the moment, or?
Where is Star Search going, etc.? That's a great question. I mean, I think there's some obvious, like, the lowest hanging fruit is probably, the obvious things we can continue to like integrate into the platform that we've already talked about. Things like
Yeah.
additional UI, UX, enrichments. Like you shipped that thing this morning, and like I'm sure people are going to come back tomorrow or next week, and it's going to be like, oh wow, this thing
Yeah.
it's got even more enrichment and more stuff that we can like. As people continue to use it, I mean, they're just going to see continual improvements and some like UI UX improvements as we iterate on this. Same on the
Cool.
back end with like a lot of the prompt engineering that's happening.
Yeah.
Maybe one other big piece of this kind of pizza pie is there's kind of a complex sort of architecture around really what I call like multi-agent
Okay.
LLMs, where each of these individual agents kind of have their own little individual job. They have their own tool belts of things they can do. Excuse me. They like one can search Bing, which is really
Mm-hmm.
cool, and get relevant information from Bing that we don't have in the pristine database data, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that's true. Um, cool,
yeah.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say too, let me, I had to let my brain sizzle for a second. Yeah, I think that's great, and yeah, we honestly ship pretty often. Like we have production releases usually twice a week, but sometimes more. And we're just like B Dougie always says, ship to learn. And I think
Yeah.
we're making
Mhm.
lots of quality improvements everywhere in the app, and it's honestly, it's been super fun working on this. Like we've been super super busy, to be frank. Like we've been putting in some time, but honestly, I've been having a ball
Mhm.
working on this stuff. It's been super fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
the other thing Becca wanted to ask is how do you get started with Star Search? And I'll just
Mhm.
mention first. So I've logged out right now out of the app. So the main thing you need if you want to use Star Search right now is you do have to log in. So if I click on here and I'm logged out, it's gonna ask you to log in, and essentially we just log in via GitHub right now. I would probably say most of the people that are going to be using the application or Star Search are probably developers. So you probably have a GitHub account. So, you can just go ahead and connect, and then that will give you access to Star Search. And that's the main thing to get started. And uh, John was talking about the lotto factor, and he was asking some specific questions about Kubernetes, and we saw that Alex had a great question about finding podcast guests. If you're
Mhm.
not sure what to ask right away, we provide these suggestions for prompts to get you started, and so you can click on one of those, you can get a response and see what happens. Obviously feel free to ask a question, but if you're just really not sure what to ask, or you just want to see it working, just go ahead and click on one of these, and I killed my avatar. That's a bug I've discovered today. If you log out, the user ID is not available, and then when you log back in, it doesn't get set. That's a small bug that I'll be
No,
fixing,
no.
but it's super minor. It just means your avatar doesn't show up.
Yeah.
But anyways, but yeah, I'd encourage you to just try these things, and yeah, try the suggested prompts, and then yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'd
Yeah.
say.
Suggested prompts. I mean, any projects that you're invested in or that you contribute to. We do have a bit of a criteria. It's any project over 1,000 stars on GitHub. So
Yeah. Oh,
we're
Becca's back.
not.
I'm gonna bring you in.
Hey, welcome back, Becca. So yeah, we won't be able to surface very good information on, like, little side projects that, like I
Yeah.
have or anyone else might have. But yeah, any of the big ones, any of the big, like, ecosystem projects. There's over 40,000 GitHub repositories that meet that criteria. So it is a
Yeah.
pretty massive slice of like the open source world at large,
Yeah.
which I think is pretty cool. And
Yeah.
excuse me, it's pretty great that we can do that.
Yeah, totally. And getting back to one of the things I mentioned before, we have like super fresh information coming out of GitHub. Like literally like 2 minutes you post something like a PR or an issue, you're gonna see it in the app, and this is reflected too in results you get back from StarSearch, potentially. So I guess one thing I'll mention is just like anything, if you've used ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever AI chat tooling you've been using, we have a disclaimer at the bottom. StarSearch may generate incorrect responses. Double check important information. So I just want to call that out because, I think sometimes people, I've definitely seen this a ton of times. Like especially for coding, like it'll spit out a code sample and say like, here you go, this will do what you want. And then like I have enough context to know if I read it, I'm like, okay, that's not entirely it, maybe, so yeah, use your judgment, I guess. But having said that, I've been getting lots of great responses out of StarSearch personally. Um,
Yeah.
Becca, you're back here. Glad you came back onto the internet. I was getting, I, I
Hopefully.
was, I was feeling silly before because I was like, yeah, John, Becca's back, and he's like, what are you talking about? And I was, because I'm looking at the YouTube chat, but I have the video paused, so I saw your face there. I'm like, oh, I guess she's just really still right now. She's not really moving. But anyways, yeah, no, glad to have you back. Uh, we were just discussing, like I was talking about some of the stuff we were going through the walkthrough of Star Search. Um, so uh, we did kind of touch on what Star Search is, where we envision it going, how do you get started with it. I was mentioning you definitely need to be logged in. That's like the main criteria. Um, and then we kind of touched on how did you create Star Search a little bit already, because John was talking about the vector databases and the agents and all that. I don't know if you want to kind of take it from there, Becca. I'm definitely gonna eat pizza at some point. Side note, yeah, that's a priority for me today. So,
I have
anyways,
to order
Not
now.
gonna lie, while I was trying to fix my sound, I had some pizza. I can show you what Ohio Valley pizza looks like.
all right, okay. Reveal yourself.
Oh
This is a
man.
slice of Ohio Valley pizza. It is very
Okay,
enjoyable, and I could eat a lot of it. But it's melty now. So normally the cheese would fall off because they put the cheese on uncooked. They pull the crust
okay.
out, and then they
Oh.
sprinkle the cheese on because that's the right way to do it.
But silly
But
question.
I
Do
just had
you
a slice. So
heat it up to melted cheese, or do you eat it with the not raw cheese, but do you eat it with the non-melted cheese? Is that how you're supposed to do it?
I mean, that's ideal. Like if you can get it right there and eat it
Okay.
immediately, like grab it, put it in your car, eat it. I
Okay.
I have a Ohio Valley pizza place that's like 3/4 of a mile from my house. So I've been known
Okay.
to run to the pizza place, buy some pizza, and then eat a slice before running back.
Nice.
Okay. That checks out. I have that issue with Montreal is known for bagels, and it's kind of funny. One of the guys I played rugby with, his family owns one of the big ones, St. Viateur Bagel. But anytime I go to pick up bagels, like they're made. I don't know how they're made in other places. I think New York style is like Montreal. It's firewood oven, but they're making them all day long. So typically when you go there and you're like, "Can I get a dozen sesame bagels?" They're like piping hot, fresh. So it's like you get in the car, or if you're walking, it's like, "Oh, I accidentally already ate two bagels," and it's like because they're so good, like fresh bread, anything. But
Yeah, I've
yeah,
never had a fresh bagel. I've had fresh Krispy Kreme. I don't really like donuts, but if that
okay,
Krispy Kreme hot and fresh light is on, those things like you could just like swallow them. It's
yeah, I
dangerous.
hear you. I will talk. I know John's ordering pizza later, but um, I tried out. Whoops, I muted myself. I tried out a new spot near my house. So this is not a piece of plastic. It's just this. Oh wait, there we go. Um, I have
It
a
looks
Are
like
there
a
home
banana
frisbee.
peppers on?
What's that?
Are there banana peppers on there?
No, this is just a pepperoni pizza. Because I put out a funny poll yesterday because I was like, oh, by the way, did you know Canadians invented Hawaiian pizza? I don't mind Hawaiian pizza, but it's not my go-to. I like a good pepperoni pizza, or even like I remember when I went to Italy, like there's a place called this village called Cinque Terre, and you literally just go to a a little restaurant like right by the ocean. You say like, can I have just like a margarita pizza, like literally just tomato sauce and bread, but it's like fresh tomatoes, like they're baking the dough there right at that instant, and it was like some of the best pizza I had. And it, just simple ingredients but so good. But yeah, lately I've typically been eating pepperoni pizza. I do like cheese pizza too. I do like buffalo chicken wing sauce pizza.
That's
That
good.
that that's a really good one. But I tried this place. It's from a place called Chicago Pizza. I think it's chicagopizza.ca. Yes, the good old .ca domain coming into play there. But it's called Chicago Pizza, so I'm assuming this is Detroit style. I haven't looked it up yet, but I'm assuming that
That's
is
not
what
Detroit
Detroit.
style pizza.
Yeah, I was
Kristen
gonna
Mars
say.
just
Okay.
died. He just heard that all the way in Detroit and died.
He's like, I was gonna upvote you on Product Hunt, but after hearing that, sorry. But
We take it
uh,
back.
yeah,
Downvoted.
Content here is
yeah,
not endorsed by Open Science.
yeah, exactly.
Pizza commentary is not.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
This is
These
not
are
official pizza commentary.
yeah,
Sorry.
opinions are my own about pizza. Please do not reflect against the company. Um, but I did have a serious question about pizza before we kind of move on. Uh, like pepperoni under the cheese or on top, because I don't mind both. Like
Mm.
I remember like growing up, like there was a local pizza place we used to go to called Luna, and or order from. And side note, they don't put a bread ball in the middle of pizzas anymore. Maybe some places do, but they always had the pepperonis under
John
the
and I, did
cheese.
you see
Wait,
our faces? Both of us
pods.
were like, what?
A bread ball in the middle of the pizza?
Yeah, it was like a pretty standard thing. They this pizza I ordered yesterday didn't have it, but maybe it was just that one place, but I remember having this in at least a couple pizza places in Montreal. And so yeah, so literally your pizza, and then it's like they baked it looks like a little bun in the middle, but it was just I don't know if the official
I
term
feel
is
like
bread
we need
ball.
to Google that and share an image here so everybody can understand what that looks like.
I
I'm
mean, I
actually
love
gonna
bread, so
Yeah, I'm actually gonna Luna Pizzeria Pierrefonds. That's where I grew up. I'm revealing stuff. Oh yeah, it still exists. All right. Cool. Commande. Sorry, let me switch to the English menu for y'all. Home order online. Let's see. Are they gonna show the pizza ball? I don't know. I guess not. Maybe things have changed. But anyways, I digress. But
So wait a
yeah,
minute, how big was the pizza ball?
like the size of a baseball.
hmm.
Like not a softball, but like a regular baseball, I guess.
So it
Regulation
sits
bread
in the
ball
middle of the
size.
pizza. It
Yeah, yeah,
is it
exactly.
like does it like hold the pizza together? So like when you take a slice, it's like the bread
Yeah,
ball. Like
I feel like as a kid I might have thought like that's the thing holding it all together maybe, but then there was like a phase, like a lot of pizza places they would put the little plastic table in the middle, or I called it a
yeah,
little plastic table. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
uh, But
That's a staple.
I don't know.
That's a staple. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, I'm a big fan of. I like the pepperoni on top because if when they bake it, then it gets kind of crispy. But I
Hmm.
also don't mind it under it. But I don't know. I feel like people probably have strong opinions about that. But I digress, Becca. We can move on to
I
other things
I
because
had
I actually want to
pizza.
take a bite.
Yeah, I had pizza once that had like cubes of pepperoni under the cheese, but then on top your standard circular pepperoni. And that was pretty tasty. I used to hate pepperoni, but I don't know. In the
Yeah,
last couple years, I just really I like salty foods. So
Hmm.
I'm here
yeah,
for pepperoni.
Yeah.
yeah. Pepperoni's pretty good. Not gonna lie.
I
Cool.
do like an inside out pizza. I guess like Chicago style where it's sauce, cheese, toppings. That's nice. And then the crust is
Grandma
nice
style
and
pizza. Have you had grandma style?
I, I don't even know what that is aside from
mhm.
like an old my grandmother potentially making the pizza, but
Okay, somebody told me about it recently because I had never heard of it. They're like, "Oh yeah, I'm eating some grandma style pizza." Like, what does that mean? Let's see. It's attributed to Long Island, New York, typically topped with cheese and tomato sauce. Okay, so I think this is it. It's cheese and then the sauce on top of the cheese. That just seems
Mhm.
too wild for me. I don't know about that. I can't handle it.
It's good.
yeah.
I think we had this when we did our pizza tour in New
I
York.
missed the pizza
Oh,
tour.
you missed the pizza tour? That's right. Ugh. Yeah,
Yeah.
one of
So
the
did Nick.
places
Nick
in
wasn't on
the
the team yet.
that's
Yeah,
right.
I,
That's
I
right.
literally was signing my contract the week I think you were in New York or
Doing the
Yeah.
pizza
just
tour.
before.
Yeah, there was a great place in the East Village that we went that had this where it was like kind of the pan style. So it was like the buttery crust. And then yeah, it was kind of the inside out where the sauce was on the top, but it was all like baked, so it was really good. Man, I'm
Mm.
hungry. This pizza place I want to order from doesn't open until 11 a.m. Mountain Time, so I have an hour
Okay.
before I can order.
Well,
Because
what
I
actually
ordered from
was
the place that was open at 10 a.m. I was like, sweet. I was like 10:02. I'm like, can you give me pizza, please?
Pizza now, please. Yeah.
you're like smacking the window. Let me in. Let me in.
Let me
Uh,
in.
yeah, no, I was
Yeah,
I
my
was a
favorite place
little
doesn't open till 4.
Oh, darn.
So sad.
Y- Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna go pick up the pizza. Well, I picked it up last night. We had some of it for supper, but I was just like, we're streaming. We started streaming today at 11 a.m. my time, so I was like, that place is definitely not open. Probably noon because there's like a lot of students that go there at lunch. But I was like, I need some za. So it's kind of like I'm having uh pizza brunch or brunch maybe is that what they call it? I have no idea. I'm just talking out of my ass.
Parunch. Parunch.
Yeah. Oh,
Pizza brunch.
I see Brandon in the chat. He's saying the app is so much faster now. Did we add some other turbos to it? I'm not sure. We definitely made some speed improvements recently, but maybe some other somebody else put some more nitros in the app. Maybe.
We did recently upgrade to a newer version of Next, right?
Oh yeah,
Can
that
that
too.
can
Yeah,
that be it?
yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, because that improved the development speed in terms of the dev server. But yeah, no, yeah, you're right. There's some speed improvements there too, and yeah, and I also added some caching for some things, but that was prior to that. So I think maybe just the upgrade alone probably gave a little boost too, maybe.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, cool, cool.
Yeah, it does feel
Um,
snappy.
yeah.
Wow, it feels really snappy. Things just keep getting better, folks. Hour
Yeah,
on hour, we're shipping good stuff.
yeah. I'm actually deploying right now.
Uh,
Uh,
hey, Nick, I threw another link in the chat there. If you want to open that up just to look at it. This was a fun question. I feel like we're kind of
okay.
in a fun mood here before lunch. And so we would like to know what you all think about this too. But we had a question that says,
Okay, yeah. Here, let
do,
me
do, do.
pop it
You
open.
see it?
Whoops. Yeah. My fingers are fumbling. I right clicked and said save as instead of opening it. So let's open it. Okay.
You'll have that
So
bookmark
Here we
forever.
go.
okay, from Anna or Ina.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Anna says, no, I lost it. Can you read it, Nick?
Yeah. I will pause from eating pizza. I'm very upset now, Becca. Yeah, it says,
Sorry.
no, it's all good. I'm just joking. Saying, yeah, hey, B Dougie, that's our CEO. Congrats on launching StarSearch. It sounds like a game changer for the open source community. So tell me, if StarSearch could form a band with famous open source contributors, what would the band's names what would the band's name be, and what would their debut album be called? And looks like B Dougie answered. Uh, Anna, that's an amazing question. Right out of the gate, the band name is Looks Good to Me, and the debut album would need to be Hello World. So so cool. And yeah, so and then Anna is it's either Ina or Anna saying that's fantastic. Looks LGTM, which I'm sure anybody who's approved a PR at some point has written LGTM. Looks good to me. So
Never.
it's a brilliant band name. Yeah, exactly. And Hello
I always
World
thought it
is
was
just
Let's
like
Go to Market.
it could be that. I guess context matters.
Everybody used
So,
to say it, and nobody told me what it meant. And I was like, oh, let's go to market. Like, with the little piggy,
yeah,
apparently.
I
yeah,
definitely
that's
thought it was let's get that money for a day.
yeah.
They're all valid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
I'm gonna use all of them. That's like uh earlier on in my career, people were always talking about ROI and nobody ever explained it to me, and I would always just nod and like, oh, okay, yeah, ROI, and then obviously uh I picked up on what it was eventually, and that's when I started asking questions when people would say stuff that I have no idea what they're talking about. So side note, but it's always okay to ask questions, people. Um, yeah,
That's
so
right.
she's saying, yeah, so she's saying, sorry, they're saying, yeah, that's great, and can't wait to see their release notes, tour dates. Awesome, cool.
Yeah, she's
Let's
also got syntax error in the debuggers. I like that one. But if
yeah,
you're watching and you have ideas, I think we just tweeted it out. You can give us your ideas or drop it in the chat here because we want to know what you would name our Star Search band and what the debut album would be.
yeah, totally. I'm gonna excuse me,
What
there's pizza
about
flying around.
Linus and the mailing lists? Man, that's
or
silly.
Oh,
That's a
or
deep
that's
cut.
fantastic.
or Linus and the Penguins. I was I don't know.
Ah, yeah.
I don't know what happened, but like on my Instagram for some reason, all I get is Linus Torvald. Well, not only, but like I've been getting a lot of like Linus Torvald like short like reels for some reason, and
Oh,
and he
he's
was
got some
talking about,
great, yeah. He's got
but he
some
was
great
talking
little.
about the yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, that's it. He's just great. You go.
Yeah. I think I had a slight delay there. No, he was just talking about the origins of the like the penguin logo, because he was saying the short clip I saw was like, yeah, I think he had like hundreds of stuffed penguins, like plush toys, not actual penguins, just to be clear. Sorry, all the taxidermists out there, but um, he was just saying like people like just not randomly, but people will send him these all the time. And so they were talking about like, well, like where did the penguin logo come from? And I think he saw, I can't remember the name of the penguin, but it's like a very small penguin. It's not emperor penguins or the ones that have like the rainbow eyebrows, but he just basically said they're cool animals, and you know they are exotic to some degree, but almost everybody on the planet knows what a penguin is, so that's why he went with it. Basically, it was nothing deeper than that, aside from, hey, this looks cool, let's go with
Hmm.
that. So
I think that's how a lot of early Linuxy things were. Like for a long time, the mascot for Z Shell was this like really terribly drawn wizard. Like, let me see if I could find it. Like Z Shell ZSH wizard logo or something. Yeah, just
okay,
Google ZSH wizard logo, and it looks like something out of like the 80s, like early Gary Gygax D&D
okay,
drawings. And that was the Z Shell logo for a long time. But I think it was kind of unofficial also because it was just like a community thing. So it's like, let it be a wizard.
yeah, exactly. Open source for the win. What do you want the logo to be? A wizard.
Of course, a wizard.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Cool. I'm just checking Slack real quickly. Looks like Ken Wheeler's a fan of StarSearch, so thanks for that, Ken. We actually got to meet Ken recently at React Miami, so thank you for your support. Cool, cool, cool. Let's see. I don't know if you had any other highlights you wanted to surface or comments, Becca, at the moment, or we can just kind of look through. Oh, there's Ken. Uh, and
Yeah,
oh,
I
there's
think we can get
also
to them a little bit later. Maybe we can do another search just to show off and let people know, because we've been going for about an hour now. So if you're
yeah,
just joining us now, welcome. It is lunch week at Open Sauce, where we're launching at lunchtime every day this week. And today we have launched StarSearch, which is our AI powered tool, which is your co-pilot for Git history. You can check us out over on Product Hunt, but we'll do a little demo here to show off some of the cool stuff that we're doing and talk about. We're pretty excited about it. This is just the beginning. We have big plans for where it's going. And
yeah.
because we are open sourced, we are eating pizza on the stream. So tell us your favorite pizza toppings so we can share in the enjoyment as well.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I just finished my piece of pizza and I feel sad that John doesn't have pizza yet. So, but I also don't feel bad at the same time because it was so good. Anyways, I regret nothing. Uh, I think something that could be interesting to surface, because you were talking, John, that there's like several agents in there, and I can't. Okay, John isn't frozen; he was just very still. I just saw him move his head.
Sorry about
um,
that.
no, it's all good.
I gotta do a constant. I'm here. All right, sorry I
So,
interrupted you.
no, no, it's all good. It's all good. So like, you were asking a question before about I forget what kinds of volumes in Kubernetes, and we surfaced some users,
Mhm.
but we can also do stuff like, because like you were saying, there's various agents that we're using behind the scenes, and we have like, we can leverage Bing in certain contexts as well. So like, if I were to say like, what are some talks that John McBride has worked on? I'm expecting that should be able to surface something.
Yes. So that is a use case. Again, kind of was mentioning this like multi-agent thing we have going on where
Okay.
we could actually engage with the Bing search service that we have set up, and the Bing search agent can go and search Bing for information that we just don't have in our database, and it looks like it pulls up. That's it's not me, but that's okay.
That's not. Yeah, I know that's not you,
It's
but
close. Yeah, that's
are these your talks?
those are my talks. It's probably
Okay.
trying to. I can't quite see what's the username there? Is it John Codes?
Uh, and no, it's literally John McBride, the
Oh,
username.
yeah.
So
See, and this is a great example of like kind of one of these sneaky hallucinations that can be kind of hard to correct for. So
yeah,
yeah, I think this is definitely something everybody in the industry is trying to figure out still. But those are the talks that I've given recently,
yeah.
and
Okay.
it's yeah, cool that we can get some additional sort of real time information off just the internet. Very
Yeah.
focused, obviously, for the open source community and focused on contributors, et cetera, et cetera. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a neat little capability.
So
Looks a little
yeah,
closer to me.
yeah, so getting back to what you're saying, like obviously it can hallucinate, but I think this is a good example of, because like I was actually surprised that it found your talks, because like, well, I don't know how common John McBride is in terms of a name, but I know like my name,
It's
Nicholas
pretty
Taylor,
common.
or Nick Taylor, it's super common too. Then
Mhm.
it's like, but again, like, something to kind of mention is like, Star Search isn't like some all-knowing oracle like that you can ask anything
Right,
like, what's a hot dog, or is this a hot dog,
right,
and there's good reasons for that, right? Like, we have a very specific use case, and that's why we're calling it Copilot for Git history.
right.
So I guess my question here is like, it gave the wrong user initially, but when it said, here are a couple of talks that John McBride has given, they were not they the LLMs and the agents were were looking specifically for developers because of GitHub data. I'm assuming, right?
Hmm.
Like they looked for users that have the name John McBride, and then again, it hallucinated in that first instance, but then when I got a little more specific by saying like I know what John's handle is,
Right, right.
what are his talks, so
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it probably is mostly because I have my website, johncodes.com, and then I have /talks on there. So it probably is grabbing it off of there. But yeah, I mean, Bing search is nice that, one, that's an Azure service that we could just like use. So it's not like we had to build a web scraper or anything silly like that. It's
yeah.
provided by Azure, super easy, nice service to use. Can hit an HTTP service endpoint to grab that information. The LLM can then take, honestly, it's just a ginormous jumble of data, and then that Bing search AI agent that we have can take that, kind of summarize it, and hand it off to actually give a
Okay,
user response. So
cool.
yeah, it's a neat capability that I think is kind of a bit of a, maybe a cherry on the top. I don't think we're building something that will be an interface for Bing search or anything, but can definitely
Yeah,
pepper in some additional information for some nuances like that.
yeah, no, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to think of questions here, Becca. I'm gonna let you eat your pizza because you look like I want to I want to eat that pizza now too because it looks really good. But do you mind if I ask the question like who is at Becca HW? Becca, is that okay? Or yeah, who is at Becca HW? So in this context, like before I launched the question there, John. So obviously we've got the GitHub data, but in this particular scenario, I imagine it would probably go to the Bing agent as well, or
Who is at Becca HW? That will probably try to grab data off of GitHub stuff.
okay,
Some of her projects include. Maybe it
okay,
went. This is another thing that's kind of going back to that non-deterministic nature of things. Is that we have this sort of subset of tools and things we can give to the model, and then it makes the decision to what it's going to do, and it can actually call some of these in parallel. So maybe it went and in parallel looked at Bing, looked at
yeah,
issues, looked at pull requests, and then kind of together it just was like, here's like a big summary of things. So
yeah,
um, it's, in my opinion, and maybe that it sort of feels like this is a hot take these days, given how building AI enabled applications is going in with Microsoft building all this stuff. Hot take. I do think that this is a really, really great use case for
okay,
large language models. You just have all this unstructured text and data and stuff. And just asking it
okay,
to like summarize some stuff and be like, we went and did a
mm-hmm,
little search, or you have a capability to go do a search, make a low level decision to like go do that search, and then like just
mm-hmm,
do a big summary of all that stuff. I really don't know
okay,
how else you would be able to do this outside of yeah, any more deterministically. I guess you could like
okay,
present it as a long list of data and stuff, but even that is like pretty hard to parse through. Like I don't know if I want to get a summary of somebody's like 100 different pull requests and be like, now I have an idea of what they're doing. Like I'd much rather have a large
yeah,
language model just summarize all of it for me.
yeah. I'm kind of I'm just gonna ask some questions in here, and
Mhm.
these we don't have a script for this. I'm just curious. So like, if I said, uh, what are some recent pull requests from at Nikki T online? I imagine that should be able to give me a decent result.
It should. Yeah.
Okay,
Really
so some
anything
recent pull
anything that
requests.
is, you know, anything that's pretty specific on an individual repository, it should be pretty
Okay,
good at. Even then, kind of stepping back into like the more broad of like who are prominent individuals in the Rust ecosystem or something, it should still be able to see the
okay,
forest among the trees, right?
okay, okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, no, this is definitely pretty accurate. These are all things I've definitely worked on or that got merged.
Mhm.
No, so that's super cool.
One thing, some things to say also is that we do our best with our like data pipelines and all that stuff to be about as up to date with, like all the histograms and metrics on like repo pages or workspaces, are basically like up to date, like maybe 5 minutes old or something. So about as real time as you
Yeah.
can get. Uh, some of this, though, on the AI data pipeline side, since we're doing much more like scrubbing and
Mhm.
processing to actually surface out relevant information, it can lag like a week or so, maybe
Okay.
2 weeks at times, given like backlog of things it's trying to process. So yeah,
Okay.
that's definitely something to keep in mind, where it's not going to have the most real time up to date information. At
Okay.
times I have seen it catch up, and it's been like, I think the day that the React compiler came out, it like knew
Oh
about
yeah.
that. We can kind of pepper that with a little bit of the Bing search as well for like really big
Yeah.
stuff. That's like obviously prominent, but um, even that I would say is pretty cutting edge for what we've done, because a lot of like, I think people have kind of gotten used to like, oh, large language model technology is just like going to have information that's months and months old. This is pretty
Yeah.
pretty fresh. It's about as fresh as I think we can get with large language model technology like this, right?
Yeah.
We also
Yeah.
have a couple of questions in the chat on Twitter, if you don't mind me reading them.
Yeah,
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Go
please.
for it.
Jason asked, so I could ask it a user's most recent language used as far as in regards to a repo, or what language is the largest used?
I'll let John answer that.
That's a good question. So like, yeah, I'm just thinking. So like, I mean, we could try it. I think I might fall over a
Okay.
little bit, because I don't know if we haven't quite plugged in some of that stuff, which you'll notice we have that information on like individuals' user profiles. Probably good feedback, honestly. We probably could give another agent capability in this to know about what languages somebody is using a lot. But yeah, Nick, you could ask like, what languages is at JPMCB, my username on GitHub. What are they using? My guess is there's kind of a fall through logic as well, where it'll kind of hit Bing if it errors out or like doesn't get
Okay.
really good results on stuff.
Hmm.
Um, it might hallucinate as well. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. Yeah. John is fluent in Cantonese. No.
Yeah,
Okay.
if
So
it
it's
looks yeah, it looks like it looked at some pull requests and then just like figured it out from some pull requests. Does it say
yeah.
JavaScript? It's not the most accurate,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah. John has done a lot of work in our API, and it's a Nest.js app, the API. So
Mhm.
that's why that's servicing. But yeah, I think you primarily, like, your go-tos are mainly Go and Rust typically, I believe.
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, also been writing a lot of Python with some of
Hmm.
these AI ML microservices we have and stuff. So, um, you know what? Use the best tool for the job. That's what I say.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
best
No,
tool
totally.
is usually Go. No, I kid. I don't want to start a flame war. But yeah, that's a great that could be something we could probably pretty easily like bake into this, like a little more
Okay.
awareness of like our user profile information and stuff, right?
Yeah. And again, this is still in beta, and like it's still early days. Like, this is, I think, what you're seeing today, you're gonna see, there's gonna be lots of improvements over the next, even, honestly, I'd say over the next couple weeks, you're probably gonna
Hmm.
see some different things. You're gonna see more enriched UI. There'll be more improvements in terms of what gets returned. So like, still early days, but I'm honestly, like, obviously I'm biased because we all work together and it's the projects we're working on, but I'm seriously pretty impressed with what this can do right now. So in the and again, in the context of, you know co-pilot, but for Git history, again, it's
Right,
not,
right.
it's and I think that's actually, you kind of talked about this in terms of agents, right? Like, so the Bing
Mhm.
agent is obviously going to go search stuff. This whole concept of agents, and again, I'm not super well versed in this space that much yet,
Mhm.
but I've listened to quite a few podcasts from the Latent Space podcast with Sean Wang,
Right,
Swix, and
right.
he's a big fan of agents. And like, I remember it was last year sometime, he was talking about, not for doing a query like we're doing right now, but
Right, right.
for his local development, he had like an agent, which is that agent's job was just, I'm a debugger and I'm going to help you debug things. This one does something else.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you've constructed, and there's like an orchestration mechanism involved in there,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you can kind of think of it as like there's a manager, and then the manager has kind of many different branches that then those might have different branches to go down and stuff, and each of those is an agent, and it just kind of creates like a web of agents. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and really behind the scenes, a lot of it is the OpenAI function calling capabilities, which is honestly really great. There's similar
Yeah.
things in like LangChain and Llama Index and Auto GPT have a lot of this kind of like function calling capability, but it
Okay.
basically enables us to have that subset of tools in our services in the API that it can know about to then go and like query specific information. Uh,
Okay.
Part of it also is just because doing a one shot with a model that, and when I say one shot, just like sending one query with one system message, it just does its best with like a bunch of context that we
Okay.
give it and pre-bake into the user prompt. um
Okay.
that 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 works okay if like you have like a pretty narrow focus, and you don't need to like have it kind of decide on like what information it thinks it needs.
Mm-hmm.
But really, using the function calling opens up capabilities for it to decide what information it needs. But then you start to get problems where you have a ginormous system message for one LLM that's like, if this, do
Okay.
that. If this other type of question, do this other thing. If else, if else, if else. And so
Okay.
these models kind of fall apart. Like really big
Okay.
system messages with a lot of logic in them, those kind of fall apart.
Okay.
Or it starts to like make pretty poor decisions, in my opinion. So instead, you can kind of narrowly focus individual agents that have like a very specific job, and they know what their purpose is, their goal is, and then they have a subset of tools that they can make a decision on individually. So that's sort of the ethos of like why split it up into like a multi-agent sort of thing with a manager agent that knows about all the other agents. It kind of simplifies things at the system message level, where you don't have these ginormous prompts doing like a ton of logic in the actual prompt engineering. So yeah, prompt engineering is kind of wild, honestly. It goes a lot farther than I thought it would. Only recently honestly exploring it, but for this product. But it's you get a lot done. Like it's you can do quite a bit with giving it some, pretty high level prompts, giving it some decisions it can make, and then watching it go and make those decisions.
Yeah. No, yeah. It is like I think one thing I find interesting about prompt engineering, and like, because like I'll use stuff like Copilot and ChatGPT, even
Hmm.
Gemini. Like a lot of times I sometimes I treat it like rubber ducking. Sometimes it's just like ask the question and then I keep refining. And I think
Right.
one thing, and it is, I might be saying the obvious here, but I find it helps you like it encourages you to communicate better, you know, because you're like, if you just say like,
Right.
you know, give me a Kubernetes project, you know, like who knows what it's going to give you. But if you're like, you know, you get more specific, or like, I don't know, I'm looking for one that has the I forget what you call it, the volumes, what type of volumes work, but like, you know, basically it forces you in a good way to like really narrow down like what do you really want, because when you go too broad you might not get what you want, you know? So I think it's
Right.
cool as a tool to just help myself, uh, just make myself more clear in what I'm asking for, which, anyways, a little side note,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. It's it's wild that like you can do a lot of this with large language model technology these days. Yeah. Go prompt engineering. We're all prompt engineers now.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Open
So
source is
the
really three people prompt engineering in a trench coat.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I kid. I kid. Sorry, I interrupted you, Becca. Go ahead.
Oh, no, no. The question in the chat was, can we ask StarSearch if Nick's hair is better than his last merged PR? Which seems like a really good use case.
I think
I am genuinely curious what it would say. Do you think it will
I think
error?
it'll reject that prompt, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
let's see what it'll do.
Okay. So what was the question?
Let's see what it says.
Okay.
Can't
Yeah.
is Nick's hair better than his last merged PR? So Nikki T Online.
Uh, better.
I actually don't know what it'll do. This is probably on the line.
There's been an error.
I've
Yeah.
rejected it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Got rejected.
this is also part of that kind of multi-agent architecture where obviously a big risk in opening something like this up is prompt injection attacks or
Yeah.
trying to get this thing to do some stuff that would just be basically out of the code of conduct for like using this product.
Hmm.
So we have the first agent that actually looks at your message that you send it is one that is kind of tasked with evaluating the sort of intent and maybe purpose of the message, and if there's like a prompt injection attack in there, or if it's just like completely off topic, just
Hmm.
reject it outright. So that's what this is doing. Is it's kind of like, and I think we need to update this message honestly, but it's basically like,
Okay.
yeah, this is not gonna be relevant to anything that we're like
Okay.
designing for this product. So yeah, it's partly to protect us, protect the open source image, protect the product, but also
Yeah.
yeah, kind of narrow the focus down on the product, because this is not an all encompassing, all consuming oracle that knows about all different kinds of things. We want to keep the purpose pretty focused.
Hmm. Yeah. No. Totally. Totally. I.
Nick,
It's
I've
just.
been dropping some comments
Oh.
in chat if we want to go back and look at those. We got a lot of folks commenting on our not getting enough pizza puns in the responses. Oh, that would be a nice Easter egg. That's what there should be. Instead of an error message, it should be some kind of pizza pun. Well, we'll
Yeah.
work on that.
Okay. Yeah. Let me pop up the comments here. Thanks for calling that out, because I was looking at the
Yeah,
YouTube chat.
no. So
Okay.
if you comment on our product hunt launch, that's super helpful. If you use StarSearch, that's super helpful. Give us feedback. You can share the feedback. If you want to see a feature that you want us to do with
Hmm.
StarSearch, putting it on product hunt is a great way to be able to do that, because then also people can upvote those things and we can say like, oh, that would be awesome. Like, look, all of these
Yeah.
people would like to see that feature. And that's a really great way to talk more about this. So yeah, go ahead,
Yeah.
Nick. You want to share what those are?
Yeah, I shared this comment. This from Mike Cavalier or Cavalier. Um, I actually I haven't met him in person, but I talked to him at, I think, one of the Next.js virtual conferences. He's a React and then React dev and a Next.js dev, I think. But yeah, he was saying I'm just sharing some of the comments you put in the chat there, Becca. Um,
Hmm.
he's saying this is killer. No more manual comparisons for shopping for libraries ever again. So I think that is a good use case. Like I don't know if you've tried that, John. I'm assuming Mike must have, but like I don't know. If I think of like front end, should I use like, I don't know, Tailwind or CSS modules, or like can you give me a pros and cons of these two, or is that something you think that Star Search could give a result to? Oh, you seem to be. Oh, you're on mute, John.
You did.
And we're back. I think it can. Yeah, I mean
Okay.
it'll probably give a pretty canned answer based on like what it'll find just
Okay.
generally in like the readme information stuff. But it may also surface interesting info, or it might decide, who knows, to surface some info on the lottery factor, which we've kind of
Okay.
instructed it as something that is like relevant to these types of sort of comparison risk type of queries. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm curious to see what it'll try to do.
Okay.
When I was using it the other day too, that's kind of how I was doing it. I would ask it about one framework and then ask it about the lottery factor and then be able to get that information and then ask it about another. So it's just like,
Okay.
even if it doesn't do the comparison, I think looking at asking the same query for both gives you way more information much more quickly than if you were to try and dig into that on GitHub yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
the model underneath also has a ton of foundational knowledge. It's one of the flagship models from OpenAI, which obviously has an understanding of Tailwind and a bunch of other things and
mhm.
stuff. it doesn't have that real-time information or the GitHub data that we kind of provide to it as part of the search and the augmented generation. But
Okay.
yeah, this is probably just like slurping up a bunch from its foundational knowledge, what it already knows about these technologies.
Okay. I'm curious if it'll. What are the Lotto factors for Tailwind, CSS, and CSS modules? I'm not sure if there's an actual. Uh, I think there's a CSS modules repo, but let's just see what it does here. If not, we can try like what are the asking Lotto factors for a couple. Do you think? Okay, well,
Hmm.
we're getting something here. Okay, okay. Here, I'll let it finish. But cool. All right, so we got a Lotto factor here. This I think is for CSS. No, this appears to be for Tailwind.
Hmm.
And then the lottery factor for the other one. Uh, this is a side note, but since we're returning multiple now, we should probably in the widget we rendered denote what repository it is, because before when we
Yeah.
put this in, it was. But anyways, that's a little tweak we can do.
Side note.
But it does give us the comparison. So this is Tailwind here, which is
Hmm.
high, and then the CSS modules repository appears to be very high with no activity. um Maybe we can like I know we're demoing StarSearch here now, but maybe for folks who might not have caught yesterday's when we were talking about Lotto factor, when there's no activity in a repo, that could mean several things, or a couple things. Like, so in this case here, it looks like the CSS modules is saying it's very high, and I know we have some logic behind this. I don't know if you want to speak to like a fresh project that might not have a lot of contributions yet
Hmm.
versus one that's been around for a bit.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's a good question. So it's it's basically a way to describe the risk, the level of risk for important individuals maintaining a project suddenly disappearing. And the way we like to think about it is, they won the lottery. They're off living their best life on the beach. They're not looking at a computer ever again. So you can't
Yeah,
rely on them to continue to maintain something. That lottery factor is going to be very high for like solo maintained projects, obviously, for projects where it's like one or two core maintainers just doing stuff. And you could see that all across the ecosystem with a bunch of different stuff. It
yeah,
then drops off when you have, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 people doing the majority of the commits, or contributions. Something like a big community based project like Kubernetes is going to have a low lottery factor.
yeah,
Something like this is going to be high-ish just because there's probably 2 or 3 people maintaining, or within the last 30 days. Again, that's important to remember, is it's time boxed, because this is
hmm,
always kind of uh, a moving target based on time. Like, you can't look at
yeah,
anything over the entire course of its life cycle, because people move on from projects. It's very
hmm,
people just move on. Like, that's what happens. So over the last
yeah,
30 days, that's what it's giving us. When there's zero contributions into something recently,
yeah,
that can be a signal for something. Maybe a solo maintained project, the person is on vacation, or it's over the holidays, or they totally abandoned the thing, which would be a risky signal. So uh,
yeah,
I also want to emphasize that this is not like a scoreboard. This isn't like we're giving you a
yeah,
rating or anything. This is just another piece of what tells a story. So for something like analog, which our teammate Brandon uh, obviously contributes heavily into, invented, and is like the main person behind. Uh,
yeah,
he's like the lottery factor 100% on that project. I think he actually does a really good job of bringing in community support, because it's
yeah,
only like, I think it's only high for something like that. You'd almost expect it to be very high because he invented the thing and is just like,
hmm,
basically doing it in his free time. So tells a story of how important Brandon is to that ecosystem community, but can also tell a
yeah,
story to dependent projects on maybe providing engineering resources, recognizing where important pieces of their stack need
yeah,
injection of maybe like funds from open source program offices, or where there's like a need to go back and contribute into. Yeah, you can derive all sorts of different things from the individual stories of these projects. Yeah, using the lottery factor. So it's not a rating. It's kind of another piece of the puzzle, understanding these things and getting the story of what's going on.
Cool. Yeah, totally. Uh, I know some of us need coffee at some point. I think Becca's gonna grab a coffee soon. I'm definitely gonna grab one after. But we're
Yeah,
gonna we're gonna go through the comments again. I'm just gonna pop in another comment from Product Hunt.
sure.
Um, I'll just pop this on. It's the second comment you put in there, Becca. I'm gonna put it on the screen. Just let it load up here. Um,
Okay.
I'm gonna leave it on the screen. If you don't mind just reading through it, I'm just gonna go start a coffee and then I'm gonna come right back. But
No
yeah,
rush.
and I can hear you anyway, so I'll run down if something's on fire. I'll be back in a sec.
Not the pizza. The pizza will not be on fire. So this one says, this is a brilliant idea. Connecting maintainers with potential contributors is a huge win for the open source community. StarSearch's ability to identify up and coming talent based on real contributions is super valuable. To further empower those new contributors, it might be cool to offer resources like a well crafted commit message guide, something that could be seamlessly integrated with StarSearch's existing features. So I really appreciated this comment. We have an education path at OpenSauce. We have an intro to contributing course, and this would be a great place for it. So we do touch on things like commit messages and pull request descriptions and how to fill out a pull request template, but we don't have a guide. So I actually really appreciated this, and I created a guide, an issue to create a guide for good commit messages. And I think I told John recently,
Hmm.
like I've been more aware of what I put on my commit messages. And somebody on Twitter just shared, like now they're gonna put more than WIP or work in progress on their commit
Yeah.
messages, because this is a good use case for it now.
Yeah, and I mean, that presents an interesting, problem to us as well, because sort of the expectation going into this beta, initial release of Star Search is that, hey, this thing is gonna, consume pretty pristine data, but as we all know, there's not always excellent or pristine data that people are dropping on GitHub. Sometimes it's total garbage, sometimes it's spam. Obviously, we don't want to be feeding, our model a bunch of that stuff and all that. So um, yeah, interesting problems for us to continue to solve as well in kind of those edge cases. But I've had the same feeling where I'm like, man, I know this thing is going to be like slurping up some of the data, and I obviously want to be a good player and a good actor in this field. So if people are going to be searching for this across Star Search, I'm going to like write a little bit more, a little bit better on some of these pull requests and issues, right?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I don't know if you wanted to go grab or brew a coffee, Becca, or do you want to wait
I
till?
will go grab. I'm gonna have some cold brew, so I'll just pause
Okay,
here. I'll keep listening, but
Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna
okay,
pour
cool.
myself a glass.
Cool. I'll pop up the next one here. And also, thanks so much, everybody, for all these comments. It's really appreciated, and thanks for the support today.
Hmm.
Okay, so this one is from, not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but Wei Jun. And they're saying, Star Search is a groundbreaking tool for the open source community. Brian, it's fantastic how you've leveraged your experience at GitHub. B. Dougie, our CEO, used to work at GitHub, for those who aren't aware, leading developer advocacy over there. Yeah, so he's saying, fantastic how you've leveraged your experience at GitHub to create a feature that enhances transparency and fosters connections within the open source ecosystem. The ability to track influential developers and discover upcoming projects is invaluable. Your creative approach to semantic search for in-depth insights is truly innovative. Excited to see how Star Search evolves and enriches our interactions with open source projects. And yeah, B Dougie's just saying thanks for the feedback, and we agree it's
Hmm.
pretty novel. And I do, again, we have biases because we work here, but it honestly, it really does feel novel. It's like we've talked about this before, John, but like all this data that's been slurped up, from
Yeah.
GitHub, the real-time information, all that information is on GitHub. It's just very hard to surface it in a particular context that you want. It's
Yeah.
like I could probably find a lot of this information, but I don't even know how long that would take me, and then I'd have to group it, and then like if I have to do that again, like that's a lot of
Yeah.
wasted time and
Yeah.
yeah.
And like I don't know if we really ever want to spin it this way. But I mean we kind of can. It sort of feels like a better GitHub search. And you can use it that way. That's definitely how I've used it to
Mhm.
like find really specific individual pull requests from people,
Yeah.
or like certain technologies that I'm using. But then like also going out broad where it's like, oh, I want like a big comparison or a big understanding of like entire ecosystems.
Mhm.
Part of it too is that like I mean, search is just hard in general. We sort of had the benefit of the doubt of being able to start from a greenfield place where we got to
Yeah.
choose, doing basically using like world class vector search today. Whereas GitHub now has 15 something plus years of data that,
Yeah, yeah,
is
totally.
probably not indexed in that way. So um, who knows what behind the scenes their search algorithms are doing or what kind of like indexing
Mhm.
mechanisms they have. Um, it's probably some open source sort of thing, or maybe a Cassandra or something. But anyways, I digress.
Okay.
So we kind of get the benefit of the doubt of being able to start from a ground zero with this data and
Yeah.
with some like pretty world class ways of doing this, with vectors and embeddings and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, totally. And I just see in the YouTube comments, IU joined us. She got in here a little late, but she's saying hello, and she says she's here for the pizza and Star Search. So, and for folks who might not know who IU is, IU's a contributor and a maintainer on our docs team, and she's been really super helpful. So, shout out to IU as always.
Yeah, shout
Um,
out to IU.
yeah, I just want to say yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Coffee's gonna kick in.
Yeah, yeah. Can
It's
you
because
tell
I
we
was,
need
I've
coffee?
been up since 4, and then I hadn't eaten anything, and I downed 3 pieces of pizza like it was my job. So I'm
Okay,
like,
so
oh,
yeah,
but there's
must
one
do
more
for
piece, and I
job.
want
I
it.
have one
Somebody
piece
asked on
left, so
Twitter.
same. Sorry, go ahead.
Someone asked on Twitter, "Is pizza a company expense at Open Sauce?" And I said, "Heck yes, today it is."
Yeah, not
John
gonna
John
lie,
has either
I
Cheetos or
expense.
carrot sticks there.
Yeah, basically, if it's orange, you can expense it. I'm saying that right now. I don't know. Yeah, don't. Thanks,
There
B
was
Dougie.
wait, I think I saved this tweet from the other day. Oh, where is it? Um, somebody was saying Sam, I think it was Sam Altman. I
Okay.
shouldn't just use people's names without saying them. Wait, let me find it. Uh, it said Sam wouldn't let us order DoorDash from Panda Express because, in his words, orange chicken makes the office. Well, I'm not going to read that. Never mind. Our only catering choices were pre approved restaurants offering low protein selections such as salads, acai bowls, and boba. I mean, I like boba, but we get pizza. So, B.
Yeah,
Dougie over Sam Altman any day.
yeah. Not gonna lie, team pizza here. I can't remember if I mentioned it to both of you, but like Montreal is like a big metropolitan city, all kinds of amazing food and cultures here. And something that is amazing is if you like Indian food, there's butter chicken pizza, and it's really good. It's really good.
Mm. That's on our Pizzaverse repository. I'm pretty sure
Oh,
somebody
okay.
put butter chicken pizza on there.
It's good.
There are some really great recipes. So we have, if you're watching, so we have, like I said, the education path at Open Sauce, and so we have an intro to contributing course,
Yeah.
and at the end of the course, you can get your first PR. But then we have a recommendation for another repository to go to for your second one, which is our Pizzaverse repository. So folks can add their favorite kinds of pizzas, facts about pizzas, pizza recipes. And actually, I think we recently just expanded it. So you can just talk more about foods of your culture in your region to make it a little bit more inclusive for people that don't have pizza or don't eat pizza, or, you know,
Yeah.
are not in the realm of pizza. We still like people who don't like pizza, just
Yeah.
to be clear.
Yeah, just yeah, just to be super clear. Oh, you don't eat pizza, you're dead to me. That is not what we are trying to say. We appreciate all of you. Um, but yeah, and it's I don't know. There's even like I don't there's sushi pizza as well, which I don't know if they have that in Ohio, but like
We
No, we don't.
we had it in San Francisco when Brian, Brandon, and I were there recently working with our Microsoft partners.
okay,
We did a bunch of like sushi alternatives for meals, which I thought was very interesting. One that I thought was great was like it was like a sushi burrito. So it
okay,
was like
Yeah.
burrito sized. I'd never had this before. It was really great. It's burrito sized, and it was basically wrapped with like seaweed and then the rice, but then all the like sushi contents.
okay.
I thought it was going to be a little extra, but it was great. I was like, man, where's the sushi burrito been? I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
John,
Oh,
do you want to talk about your what you were doing with the Microsoft team out there?
Mhm.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, we could talk about it. I mean, it's all it's all out in the open anyways, I think. So we were working with the Microsoft Innovation Lab, which is a really cool thing that Microsoft does basically for small teams like us and people wanting to use Azure services and integrate with some of the really great AI services that they offer. Um, Basically a way to kickstart excuse me, and bootstrap us getting going. So a big part of like what made StarSearch possible and how far we were able to get today with what StarSearch is really was accelerated by the Microsoft Innovation Lab. So huge
okay.
shout out to them for unlocking so much of this for us. Again, because this space is moving so fast, and it is a little mind boggling to keep up with it all. So just having them to kind of use as not only a reference and a resource, which is a huge unlock, but also just get us going. So um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, they also introduced the whole like Bing search stuff to us, and using that service was great. Um, Doing a bunch of the prompt engineering, I think that was probably what I got the most out of it was just understanding more of how prompt engineering works and what you can kind of expect from large language models with good prompt engineering, and then also the multi-agent model stuff was unlocked by them as well, and getting us kind of kickstarted on that. So um, yeah, thank you to our Microsoft partners for helping with this and getting us unlocked on StarSearch.
Yeah. No, it's awesome to see. Love to see it. Uh, I am my coffee finished brewing. I'm literally gonna go up the stairs, walk right back down with it because
That's
my
cool.
my body is starting to say
Are you falling
go to
apart? Oh
bed.
no.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be back in a sec.
It's gonna be nap time after our stream is over.
There you go.
I just want to do a quick recap again if people are just joining us now. I'll drop the links in the chat too. So this is lunch week for Open Sauce, which means we're launching at lunchtime every day. This morning we launched way earlier than we normally do, but we figured that it is lunchtime somewhere, and we launched on Product Hunt. So we have StarSearch, our AI powered tool that is your co-pilot for Git history over there. And it's live too. So if you have an open source account, you can check it out today. You can use it. If you don't have an open source account, you should get one. It's free, and you can play around with it. You can give us feedback, and then head on over to Product Hunt. Leave us a comment if there's a feature that you would like to see with StarSearch, then go ahead and add that as a comment so we know, and that folks can go ahead and upvote it if they think that would be a good thing for it. Or if you have questions, you can leave those there too. I was trying to record a demo the other day, and I was saying like StarSearch, open source, open sauce, all in the same sentence, and I could not do it. And I thought I finally nailed it, and then I like went to send it send it out. And instead of open sourced, I said open source. And I was like, oh no.
Oh,
So we're working on tongue twisters, I guess.
yeah, it's a case of the she sells seashells by the seashore kind of
Yeah, one
thing.
that was tripping me up for a long time was an OpenAI compatible API, because I kept wanting to switch around
Yeah.
AI and API. So I kept saying Open API AI, and I was like, that's not right. OpenAI compatible API, or even just OpenAI's API. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
I
tongue
feel like my
twister.
brain just scrambles that all. There's
Yeah.
I think you could just put it in a sentence altogether and it would just have to unscramble it anyway.
Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, it's got vowels in there. I heard AI and now I wanted to go like like a screech, but that's not it at all. I don't know.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I went cowboy. I think my brain's starting to melt. But I
It's
do
an
have
It's
unhinged
cool.
stream
We
at this
only have
point.
1 hour left of our live stream then.
Oh,
We
Oh, I
can
can
do
order
it.
yeah.
pizza soon. I can order pizza in 10 minutes.
All right, and then we'll all watch John. John, you can like ASMR that pizza and just like crunch it straight into the microphone.
Ew. No, thank you.
Hello, I'm opening the box.
That'd be a hilarious marketing video. We're gonna
Yeah, yeah.
unveil some secret sauce right now. Shh.
Right.
Where's
Just
Chris?
opening the sauce. Yeah. You know when you open a jar and it goes like like that little
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
burst and like you hear the air come out, kind of like yeah. Anyways, yeah, we could. There we go.
Actually, this might
There's a
be
second
a
project.
good. It might be a good time to mention the Pizza Bite series that
Oh
B
yeah,
Dougie has on YouTube.
yeah. No,
Need to
that's a good
find
call.
a.
Pizza bites. I was hoping I would get a good hit right away, but I can just go to the YouTube. All right.
It has a playlist.
Yeah. Playlists. Secret sauce. Is it the secret sauce of Pizza Bite? No, there's Pizza Bite. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, well, we can mention Secret Sauce too because Secret Sauce is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Let me pause this. I'll drop this in the chat. I don't know if you mind. I'll drop it in our chat, not the YouTube chat, Becca. If you're okay with
Yep,
dropping this over on
got it.
Twitter. Oh, you got it. Okay.
Drop it in the spaces.
Yeah. Why did it? Oh, didn't. Oh, I posted it as myself. I gotta. Let me. Anyways, the URL's there. It didn't turn. It didn't turn into a link. I think that's because I have it
In
open. So
Slack or
no. I meant I
in
posted it in. Yeah, I can drop it to you in Slack, but I posted it in the YouTube
no, it's
comments.
not in the in the YouTube comments. Sorry. Yep, I can
Yeah.
get it. It's good.
Yeah. What I mean though is because I'm not logged in as the open source account. Or at
Yeah.
least not there. I'm gonna switch the account just so I can get the URL for people so they can just click on it. So
Oh, that was bad. Sorry, that's not the link. If you're on YouTube, don't click that.
It's not the link.
I don't know. It didn't. It just didn't. I shouldn't have copied it that way. Go away.
Okay.
I don't know how to delete it.
Spicy
Sorry,
link, Nick.
everyone. Here, I'm gonna.
Spicy link. What did I
Looks like
send?
spam.
Okay, there we go. There, that's the right one. I want
No,
the
it was
actual
like
list.
how. Oh, wait a minute.
Okay,
What am I?
and then
What
let's
did I
go to the
copy?
secret
Nope, that's not it.
sauce. Cool. I'll grab this one too. So, yeah, these are again biased, but like I was listening to some of these things even before I was working there. But Pizza Bite is newer, but I don't know. I think they're great interviews and they're fun. Like I think the Pizza Bite with Jason Langsdorf was a lot of fun. Like I think it's almost always you go to a pizza restaurant and like I didn't know that ranch on pizza was a thing. It sounds good, but I learned about that when I saw that episode. So, um, and
I
I
feel
definitely
like
gotta
ranch on
say,
pizza is a middle school girl thing.
it's a what thing?
Middle school girl thing.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm not sure how to process that,
It,
but
it
I'll just say okay.
I don't in That would be the only people that do that in this area
Okay.
are middle school girls. It's just a way of life. That's what
Okay.
I did also when I was in middle school. My daughter also does that.
Okay. Cool. Cool. I'm gonna drop a link to this video because I mean I like all the videos, but this one with Kelsey Hightower was really good. I mean they're all great. Like not to, not to say the other guests aren't great, but this was just a really great conversation amongst all of them. But feel free to check that out too. Um, yeah, so like you said, Becca, we got about an hour here. I've got coffee, so that's a good thing. Um, anything else at the moment you want to touch on, or do we have any new comments to take a peek at, or stuff we might have missed in terms of what you wanted to discuss today about Star Search?
I'm sorry, I'm looking in three different places right now.
Yeah,
Let's see. So, we also should probably drop the demos, which I didn't think I didn't grab the link to it. Let's
okay,
drop a link to the Discord. We have a community of folks.
yeah,
So it'd be really great if you want to keep up with the things that we're doing. Good ways to do that is join our Discord, sign up for our newsletter. Those newsletter goes out now. It's going out twice a month. It went out maybe a little bit more this month just because of our lunch week, but it gives you information on things that we're doing, but also the broader open source community. Highlights things that our members are writing about or events that are coming up in open source. So that's another really great way to find out more about open source in general. um, let's see. We
I guess we could. I'll point to. I'll drop it again in the chat. But lunch week, you can. This is from the blog, not the blog post, but from our main site. So like people can see all the things we've talked about this week so far. If they happen to have not caught all the live streams.
yeah. Um, we could probably go back through and do another demo. I feel like it's been a little while since we demoed something, so we can go back through. Once again, if you're just joining us, we are live on Product Hunt, so we'll do a little demo of StarSearch for you. If you have a question you want us to ask StarSearch, you can put that in the chat as well, and we can ask the question. You can sign up for free again and use StarSearch and ask it the question. You can put your questions in Product Hunt. All these are really good ways for us to figure out how everyone's thinking about it, where we can improve and how we can grow, because we do have big plans for StarSearch. So this is our first Product Hunt launch, but I certainly don't think it will be our last with StarSearch.
Yeah, no, totally. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of. I'll check the chat if anybody has any questions. Brandon saying, "Quick coffee drip stat." Yes, I wouldn't say no to that. Yeah. Let's see here. Any questions on Twitter at the moment? I
We
just
did
saw
have one
Brandon
question
post.
on Product Hunt about about StarSearch working with private repositories. And so just want to make sure that we answer that here. Currently, we're not working in private repositories. It's trained on contribution data from public repositories. But that's something that we're exploring it for, future releases of StarSearch.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you want to speak to that more, John, but like, yeah, it's only publicly available stuff is the
Right.
TLDR.
Yeah, so there's an API that GitHub provides called, it's basically the fire hose of all events happening across GitHub. So if you go to api.github.com/events, it's just like everything. It's that, and specifically what you'll get back here is a JSON payload of that snapshot of events, basically within that second that you hit the API endpoint. If you refreshed,
Okay.
you'd see the most recent things. If you refreshed again and again and again, it would just
Yeah.
constant stream of payloads for those events flowing through. GitHub backs this off by about 5 minutes, so it's not
Okay.
the most real time. They provide some other stuff like webhooks and all that for like at real time stuff that you would need like a bot or whatever to like respond immediately to. But
Okay.
this is great for our use case because we can basically consume this, and this is similar to how the GitHub archive at a time in the past would do this: is consume the public events feed, and then we
Okay.
can store that as time series data, given that it's kind of flowing out as events over time, and then start to build up a lot of that, I guess, understanding with the data. So a lot of it is rather unstructured, primarily the issues and the pull requests. And when I say unstructured, it's just like the text that people are adding to pull request issues and bodies. So it's nothing that's like, nice in like a table that we can like really parse through really accurately.
Okay. Yeah.
And this actually gives us, a lot of, this really opens the door for a great use case, in my opinion, of using large language model technology to summarize, and we can do vector search on top of a lot of that data, which we talked about previously. But yeah, that's kind of the TLDR and where we're getting a lot of this data is it's the GitHub public events feed.
Yeah. I'm literally picturing like somebody holding a fire hose and just like all the data like just hitting you like ah.
That's the idea. Yeah. I mean, the idea is that you have this crazy fire hose that's just emitting constantly. It does not care about what clients do. It's just like whatever, just emitting out.
Yeah.
And then a big engineering lift for us was building a nozzle that could sort of quote unquote fit around that without being leaky and missing data or dropping data. I think we do a pretty good job. I think I've noticed a few events at times that get kind of dropped here or there, but for what we've built with such a small team, I think it's pretty good. So yeah, that's also what powers that side of it, is also what powers repo pages and the graphs and charts and everything in workspaces, the activities, like individual user contributions and stuff. So it's a kind of core data pipeline mechanism for the whole platform.
Yeah, no, well said. It's data, am I right?
Lots of data. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it data or is it data?
this is where I become hypocritical, going on weird tangent here, but like in Canada, like you'll say like Z, like for letter Z, but like I mix it up all the time. Like some days I'll be like Z, then another day I'll be Z. It's like I'm a chameleon. Or like I'll say data one day, I'll say data. It's like I don't know if I'm having an identity crisis or what, but it's just like I'm not consistent with it, and I don't know. I don't know if it's just from you know, interacting with lots of Americans at some point, but also Canadian. I don't know what it is, but I got issues, I guess. So
It's okay. I forgive
I
you.
say data and data too, but that's like I
okay.
also switch that, but I would never switch GIF and GIF. Like never. That would
Here it goes. Here
never
it goes.
cross my mind. I won't say what I normally say, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know why, but my brain also switches data and data, and
I don't.
aluminum and aluminium. That's not true. I
I
don't really
thought.
switch those.
I think is it only in the UK they say aluminium, or like Australia? Because I say aluminum.
I
I
just
say
hear
aluminum.
Bear Grylls say it, so.
Okay, yeah. I think it's a British thing to say aluminium. Yeah. What was it gonna
All right,
say?
I might be distracted
He's
because
British.
I can now order pizza. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Well, John, we're talking about aluminium, so I don't think that you're really missing that much right now.
Fair. It's fair.
Yeah. Chat, if you're still here with us, send your orders to John. I don't know. I had a question. Like, have you ever had a calzone? Anybody?
Have I had a
Yeah.
calzone? Oh yeah.
Like, is that just being lazy and like it's just a folded pizza or like a taco pizza? Thoughts? Just curious.
No, I feel like
No.
it's.
Give it to him,
I feel
Becca.
like John has real opinions on this, though.
No.
You
You
said
you,
that like
you
so
dish it up,
decisively.
Becca.
I
Dish it
wanted
up.
to get spicy. I wanted to get spicy. So let's hear it, Becca.
I think it's a totally different way of doing things. It's like now I'm going to take us in a different tangent. But when they say like vegan bacon, like I will eat vegan bacon, but don't call it bacon because it's not, right? Just call it its own thing. Call it like smoked vegetable strips or something. I mean,
Okay.
Cool. I love some smoked vegetable strips, but this is not bacon. It's not the same thing. And the ratio is much different. And maybe that's what it comes down to, because the ratio of bread to toppings is different. It hits your mouth different because now you have the bread hitting the top and the bottom of your mouth, and then the toppings just, all right, this is getting out of hand.
It's all good. It's
but
all good. Uh,
But
yeah.
I
No.
think that those are key differences that make it totally different. I think a
Yeah.
calzone is closer than a taco to a taco than it is a pizza.
Okay. Yeah. No.
That's my take.
Yeah. No, we had this when I did my offsite when I was working at Dev 2 back in we went on this offsite in 2020, literally like got back from the offsite and then pandemic happened, but we had this whole discussion between we basically had to do a debate comparing like tacos and pizza, and that's why I brought it up. But anyways, I digress. But I was gonna say it's definitely not Jif, and it's definitely not GIF. You know what the actual name is? It's Jeff. Just throwing that out there, Becca. I don't know. I'm
Yikes.
Yeah. Sorry.
Here's the
Keep
other
trying.
thing about that. Like when you say GIF, when people say that, I sometimes think they're saying gift, but like dropping the T, because there are many places where people just kind of like make it a soft T or something. But you can never mistake GIF for gift. So I just
Well,
wanted to throw that out there.
I've purchased a few gifts before for Christmas, so you know, I don't know. Yeah, getting really big tangents here, but it's all good. But yeah, you were talking. I know we got completely derailed, and I love tangents on a live stream. Uh, but I think we wanted to ask a question before again, just to get another demo going. I forget what we were potentially thinking of asking though, or if we even come up with a question.
I don't know that we came up with a question. I think we can, we've been going for 2 hours now. So what's the first question we use? Because I would bet that
Okay,
anybody that started with us is taking a break to eat their pizza now too.
that's true. Yeah, we can kind of recap some of the things that we've done. So like, uh, if I John can speak to this if he wants to again, but we can ask.
Sure.
So there's something called the lottery factor, and we can ask StarSearch what is the lottery factor for a particular project. And while
Yeah.
I'm just doing this, John, just I guess a quick super summary of the lottery factor again.
Yeah, sure. So to refresh that, the lottery factor is basically a way we can surface the how a project would maybe survive if critical individuals suddenly disappeared. And the way we like to think about that is they won the lottery, they'd have a bunch of money, they're off on the beach living their best life, they're not looking at computers anymore. So you can't reliably, expect them to still be around maintaining projects or working on things. And this is especially critical for solo maintained projects, which you wouldn't think there's a lot of those out in the wild in the open source ecosystem, but they're all over the gosh dang
Yeah.
place. But this here for like Kubernetes, the lottery factor is very low because it has a pretty even distribution of contributions across any number of individuals. And that makes sense for a project like Kubernetes because there's all these different companies, Google, Red Hat, IBM, et cetera, who are deeply invested in the cloud native ecosystem and pour a lot of engineering resources into it. Um,
Yeah.
one that, maybe like Analog, which I think I had mentioned previously for that Brandon Roberts, one of our coworkers, works on. That one has
Yeah.
a pretty high lottery factor, mostly because Brandon is one of the only people working on it. It's on his free time, basically. But he does a really good job enabling the community to still come in and work on the project.
Yeah.
And I think it tells a story. I keep saying this, but this is not a rating. This is not like a leaderboard. This is not something that you could be like, this project has a very high lottery factor. It's just, it
Yeah.
tells the story of like what's going on with the contributions, the people, and sort of starts to unveil, maybe a bit of the risk factor a company might be taking on looking at something like this. And, more specifically, it could inform an open source program office to know like, hey, like we depend on analog. It's a great project. It's, Brandon's dedicating a lot to this. He's a critical
Hmm.
individual in this. Maybe we need to provide some funds or pour in some critical engineering resources to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can start to actually derive that from the lottery factor. For any people who've been familiar or maybe have worked in like the Apache Foundation in the past, the Apache Foundation calls this the pony factor. I have no idea why. Or you might have heard it called the bus factor, which is a little more gruesome. We don't like to think about people getting hit by buses and not being able to work on projects anymore. So we like to think about it as our friends and family coworkers winning the lottery, going off to the beach, and never touching a computer again.
Yeah. I was just trying out the using the term pony factor, and it's able to figure out what that
Yeah,
is.
I told it that specifically in the prompts, with the prompt engineering.
Okay.
I was like, you might know about this, and I think in its foundational knowledge, lottery factor is a phrase that we didn't invent. That's another kind of vernacular for
Yeah.
bus factor or pony factor. But we kind of latched onto that as the idea because I think it really resonates with me because I've lived the bus factor before, where I've had to maintain
Hmm.
projects all of a sudden basically on my own because somebody just decided to abandon it or completely disappear or like leave the company is another example. Say that like, we could look at
Yeah.
the lottery factor for like the app or something. And, you, me, Becca, Zayu, and Brandon are going to be up there. And it's going to be like, oh man, these people are pretty critical to this project. They're critical to the company. And we're a small team. So it tracks with the story of open source.
Yeah.
Maybe you're at a very big company and all of a sudden you realize like, oh man, this one person at this massive company is maintaining this critical piece of infrastructure technology. Maybe we should staff that project, right? I've lived that. It's
Yeah.
brutal. It's not fun all of a sudden being like, this person left the company. We got to like figure out what to do because they had the entire brain trust and we
Hmm.
don't know what to do anymore, right? That's not a fun place to be in. And this can start to tell those kind of stories, right? It's
Yeah.
interesting. It's
And
listing all the people now. I don't think I was doing that previously, but it's kind of
yeah,
nice.
I guess it depends. Yeah. So like
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously like you were saying, there's like this tracks because myself, Brandon, and Zayu are the ones who've been working the most in the app repository, which is
Yeah.
what the site we're on right now. But yeah, I guess this goes back to the non-deterministic nature of the results return. So it's
Yep.
showing us here, but then you're in there as well, John and Becca and B Dougie. But also, since it's showing other people, just want to give a shout out to some of our. It's not a shout out stream today, but hey, it's always good to shout out stuff.
Oh yeah. Get
So
it.
like big ups to like Idrinth has been doing had a couple PRs merged recently. Um, Lalith, I can't remember who they are, but Becky Rich, I posted a good first issue on socials and she picked it up. So congrats to Becky for their first contribution to the open source app. I also see Surab here, who's had seems like one contribution in the past 30 days, but I know they've done other pull requests. I see Nikhil here, who's actually from Virtual Coffee, where me and Becca are part of a community there. Side note, that's a great community that Becca created. And there's also, yeah, there's a couple others here. I think Essen Junior, it is their first I'm not sure if theirs is the first contribution to the open source app, but I know Nick Aldwin, it's their first contribution to the open source app because I've had a couple coffee chats with him and he's over in the Philippines and he's been looking to get into open source, so it's great to see he got his first contribution in too. So and I didn't have to look this up. This got surfaced in StarSearch, which is nice too. Cool. Um, I always get nervous when I don't hear people talking. I'm like, did my internet die?
I'm munching on carrots, so I keep
No,
muting
it's
myself.
it's all good. It's because like I have the view of like where both of you are in the streaming software, but I'm not always looking at it because like I'm looking at the YouTube chat and stuff, so I don't see you live. So I'm like, ah. Anyways. That's my usual stress, as I say. Streaming is fine. It's the video and audio that always gets me. Um, cool. Let's see here. Oh yeah, the thing I did want to mention again was like how up to date the information is. So like if we go back to
Mm-hmm.
let's what is Brandon worked on again? Just for folks tuning in, I know we've gone over this stuff already, but like Becca was suggesting, it's kind of good to some people join the stream late and stuff. But so like John was saying,
It's never too late
Brand
to join the stream.
yeah, that's it for sure. So like John was saying, Brandon, our coworker, is the creator of Analog JS. It's a meta framework for Angular. You should definitely check it out if you're in the in the Angular ecosystem. But getting back to what we've touched upon, so like you can see here, this data is really up to date. So the first two pull requests, I know John might not be able to see this too well because it's not coming through maybe on my share screen there, but for those on the watching the stream on socials or YouTube, uh, Brandon has two pull requests that got merged today, and those were literally before the live stream. Uh, and if he had a pull request up like 5 minutes ago, it would be showing up in here. So just want to reiterate how that like StarSearch is amazing and how we can get some great context around stuff that we want to ask about. But I think a superpower of the whole platform we've been building is just this data is so fresh. I want to do like Guy Fieri or something like Chef's Kiss or something, but
Yeah, yeah.
my arms aren't doing it though. Cool. Um, let's see here. Okay.
Hear someone's clacky keyboard.
It's me.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
that's
Okay,
me.
this keyboard. Okay, we're gonna go on a quick little tangent.
Let's do
I
it.
love the
I'm here
Moonlander.
for it. Okay.
Ooh, oh, you
Did
wanted
you bring that to
ASMR?
Miami?
Ooh,
I thought you said you weren't
ooh.
doing an ASMR stream.
No, I said
Wait
I
a
was
minute.
gonna
I
do
think
an
we need to
eating.
mute and just let.
Oh yeah.
Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, this
Star
live stream
Search.
is just John clicking keys now.
StarSearch. Copilot. For chat
Oh man.
contributions.
This is funnier than a stream
Somebody
we
needs
would
to
do in the
clip
live
that.
stream.
Primo
Yeah,
content
exactly.
right here. Uh, we could tell we're all very tired. It's great. No, I think I was gonna say something and then I totally forgot, but yeah, I totally forgot. I derailed us.
Let's take it back over to product hunt.
Yeah.
Actually, no, we can review what we've been doing with lunch week because you already got that up. So,
Oh yeah,
um,
I like the floating pizza. That's why I put it up.
it's a nice screensaver for us. We've been eating our pizza. John's Pizza is coming soon. Monday we
Yeah.
launched our Becoming a Maintainer course, and so we're also partners with GitHub Education, and so a lot of the folks who are part of that program are interested in this course, and very happy to be supporting them. There's also a post that went out on Free Code Camp about becoming a maintainer, so I know there are some folks there, but I'm saying this because I know that there are some people that are interested in working together on this course. So if this is something you're interested in, if you would like to work
Yeah.
together with others, let me know. And I'm happy to try and connect a group together and maybe help you to find some kind of schedule where you can work through the course together. And then that way too, we'll get feedback and we'll know what works and what we can improve on for that course. So that was Monday's lunch. Tuesday was, you want to scroll down?
Yeah. Side note, but I
You want to
just
talk about
love the
that?
look of. Yeah. I love the designs and the look of our main site here. It's really nice. Yeah, so we talked about workspaces. So um this it kind of ties into other things we've been talking about, which we'll get to, but like think of the workspaces as you can use this as an individual or a maintainer on any size project. Um, it's a place where you can go ahead and group repositories that are important to you. Now, in some contexts, like it could be like we were talking about, I think Mike Cavalier, who had the comment on Product Hunt about comparing libraries. you could create a workspace where you pull in like all the different libraries you're interested in. So like say all these different kinds of CSS libraries, or maybe, I don't know, some event sourcing library comparisons. And you can pull that in. And in there, you can also check out, like, you'll get a main dashboard. Depending on time, we could maybe show this again, but um, there's a dashboard where you have all these metrics, and I don't want to call them, they're not health metrics. And again, some of the ratings, there's something called an activity ratio related to all the repositories that you have in your workspace. And kind of to John's point before about like the lotto factor, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not a score per se. It's just a data point to tell a story, right? So
Yeah.
the activity ratio is something we calculate with a few things, but like typically, and we've talked about this multiple times, people talk about stars a lot, like, hey, our repo got 20,000 stars or whatever. And that's cool. Um, it's not necessarily a great metric though, because like when we were talking with John yesterday, it's like, hey, we got 1,000 stars this month, but like nobody's contributing, you know. So like surfacing better information about the activity in a repository is important. So like this is also why we kind of put stars down lower on repository pages that we'll talk about. But the forks are super important, you know, because when somebody forks a repository, there's an intention there, whether it's to literally fork it and create their own thing, or typically if you're not a maintainer of the project, you have to fork it if you want to contribute back. So it's a good indicator of, you know, potential contributions. And the other nice thing about the workspaces area, and maybe once we kind of do the recap of all these things, Becca, we could maybe show a bit of each of these things again. But um, you know, in the workspaces, you can also there's an activity tab where you can see all the pull requests, and there's another tab where you can see all the issues related to all the repositories that you're tracking in your workspace. And you can definitely filter on them. So like if you just want to see like one particular repository, you can filter on that, and then it'll only show you pull requests to that, or issues for that particular repository. And this kind of goes back to what what we were talking before. I think you were reconnecting there, Becca, but it's just talking with John how all this information is on GitHub somewhere, but surfacing it in like one place where you need all that context, that's where I think our tools shine. And so like I really like being able to just go through that pull request list. We're gonna have some improvements to it too, like filtering on whether it's just show me the merged ones, show me the closed ones, because right now we're only sorting on created dates and like updated and closed dates. But anyways, more to come there. But that's kind of the summary, I'd say. And the other thing is, you know, this is a great tool for an OSPO, an open source program office, because you have so many repositories in your program office that I think John's mentioned this before. Maybe it was B Dougie. It's like, oh, I didn't know John was working on that project, or like, oh wow,
Yeah.
there's a ton of activity in here. You know, all these external contributors to our project. You know, maybe we should consider, you know, sending them some sponsorship. You know, like there's a lot of things you can do with this information, but I think it's kind of like a great place to house what's important to you is I guess how I would summarize it. I don't know if anybody wants to add to that, but
I think that's a great summary. No notes.
oh, good. Oh, good. Cool, cool. Let's see here. We can move on to repository pages. I don't know if Becca or John, if you wanted to speak to this.
Sure, I can give it a stab. Repository pages are where I'm not going to stab anything, but I also need to go to bed. Repository pages. Rewind. Repository pages are where you can get individual insights and metrics on individual repositories. So maybe you're only interested in a sole project. You're not like yet quite trying to build a workspace where you're getting an understanding across multiple or many repositories, or like
Mhm.
an entire ecosystem. On the individual repository, you can look at yeah, the contributions, the lottery factors in there, the stars, forks, and then issues and pull requests over time as well. The way we present a lot of that, again, is in that kind of time series manner where it's things happening over time, where you have contributions happening over time, the lottery factor over a period of time, merged, closed pull requests or open pull requests over time. And that really gives you that snapshot understanding of like not only what's going on right now, but also recognizing and identifying trends, seeing things, up and to the right or maybe down, and needing some action or some injection of resources or something. Yeah, that's all on the repository pages. So you can, and again, this is all at GitHub scale. So if there's, with repository pages, if there's a repository you're curious about, your personal project or a really, really big project, you can either go to the app.opensauce.pizza /s/ the name of the repository. So like /s/Kubernetes, or you could use the search bar that we have. So you can Command K. This is like the real pro tips now. You could Command K to get to the search bar and then just type in the name of the repository. Yeah, that just pops open. Type in the name of whatever, and then it'll do a quick little search and then find it, and then you can go to the repository page.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. And then there's there's the lottery factor that we've been talking about. We were surfacing this in some of the StarSearch questions we had, so that's surfaced up here as well. Yeah, there's just lots of great information within the context, and Becca also talked about this. We didn't touch on the contributors tab, but this is like a good insight to the contributors of that particular repository. We default to this card view, but you can also go into a list view if you want to view them as well. And we have our hover cards that you've been seeing in StarSearch as well, so you can see here, like, it looks like Holy, whoever that is, they definitely have 2 PRs that got opened today because there's no time there yet. Again, just testament to the up-to-date data. Cool. Awesome. And oops, I somehow clicked on a video of Becca for some reason.
That's me. I'm already here.
Yeah.
You don't need to
Yeah.
put a video.
That's okay. But but that does bring up was there videos we wanted to share about like StarSearch, or is that something that we've already done? Because I haven't really been following socials right now because I've been kind of stuck in the chat and just managing the stream, so I don't know what's going on Twitter right now.
Yeah. So I will say, if you are interested in our demo videos, all of them I think are live on Twitter now. And I know they're on YouTube. There's a playlist for them, in addition to John's video. What is StarSearch, I think it's called. So John has 2 videos up actually. So John is the star of this StarSearch
now
today.
I just happened to do a lot of the prompt engineering.
Yeah.
Just happened to do a little bit of work on that.
There we
go.
Okay.
So that information's up. There's a blog post. There's a change log. If you look at our lunch week page, you can find out information on all of these things. But yeah, Nick is showing off our things.
Yeah, I'm just gonna grab a link to this. I caught this video last night when I was wide awake, and I enjoyed the conversation. Again, I have a lot of bias because I work with these people, but I'll go ahead and drop it in the chat. Cool. Boom. Cool. All right.
It's also a tweet that we recently made with this video.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, cool.
I can also copy that.
Let's go over there. Okay, cool. Let's see what's going on in Twitter. No, where's open source? There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, John's gonna go ahead and share it, and I'll see if I can just put it up on the screen here.
I guess that one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, here. Okay, cool. So, how did I not retweet this yet? Okay, here we go. Boom.
Because it just posted.
Oh, okay. I was like, I'm a terrible coworker. I was like, oh, 6 minutes. Okay, not so bad. Cool.
You got time.
We're pacing ourselves. Have a lot of videos and a lot of content today, so
yeah. Just a few things, Becca? And uh, yeah, the whole team has been doing all kinds of work, and just want to give a shout out to Becca again. She's coordinated like the lunch week for us here.
Yeah.
And I love the play on words. Lunch week is our launch week. I think it's unique and fun, and if I get to eat pizza, hey, I'm here for it. So
Yeah,
Heck
I
yeah.
don't think this will be our last lunch week either. So I think that this is going to be the first of many lunches. Um, and we have the rest of the day today on Product Hunt. I don't know when Product Hunt closes. It might be like 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. It launches
mhm.
on Pacific time. So
Okay.
you can go ahead, leave comments. This also gives you plenty of time today to play with StarSearch. So like I'm gonna highly
Yeah.
encourage everyone to go play with StarSearch. Again, we're not it's totally free today, right?
Yeah.
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 As far as I know. Yeah.
There's no, yeah, the training wheels are all off. It's all open.
Yeah, so check it out. Share your favorite searches that you've done or your favorite questions, or if you find like, wow, this is really amazing. I didn't expect it to be this good. We want to know that too. You can share that in the Product Hunt page so other folks can see it, especially folks who haven't had the opportunity to play with it yet. Maybe give them a little bit more insight into the kinds of things that we are doing with Star Search. Um, so I think it is a good time maybe to run another query there.
Yeah.
One of the things so I did a video on the lottery factor with Laravel, which
Okay.
I said like Laravel 10 times. I was like, wait a minute, I think it's Laravel. And then I just kept going back and forth in my head. But I asked about that. And so it is interesting to see, there's, I don't know what's going on Twitter or everywhere about full stack apps and which is the best. But hey, checking out the lottery factor is a good way to get a little bit more insight into projects. And also, this connects to our repo pages that Nick was just talking about. And in the repo pages, you can filter by date. So you can look at the lottery factor for the last 7 days, 30, 90, 180, and 1 year. I think those are what we filter by.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
I'm gonna jump off real quick. Actually, I may join a little later if this thing is still going on and we survive. But thanks for having me, and so long, everybody. Give StarSearch a try. Let us know what you think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Enjoy your
We
pizza.
appreciate you.
Bye.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging, man. Cool. Cool. Yeah, I know we've got about 30 minutes left of the live stream here. I think it's a good idea what you were suggesting, Becca. Just trying out some more prompts maybe. But yeah, I was just showing what you were mentioning there about how you can change the day range here. So we go to 7 days, which is super recent. You know, the lotto factor over 7 days, I don't know how important that is necessarily because 7 days is like not that long a time period, but we still surface it. But
Yeah.
uh, but again, you see all the stuff here, and I think my mouse is wonky because I can't scroll for some reason. But anyways, I think I must have done something. I know it's just me because everybody else, because I asked when I mentioned this near the
Oh,
start
yeah,
of the
yeah.
stream, I was like, is the scrolling on the site working? Because I'm like live streaming and I can't scroll. So everybody confirmed that it's fine. So it must be something I've done to my mouse. But anyways, um, yeah. So like, I think this is really neat because we default to the 30 days, and this is for anything on the site. It always defaults to 30 days. And you can bookmark these things too and then come back to them. And I actually encourage you to share these things on socials too if it's of interest to you. uh because shameless plug, it makes a nice little OG image and it gives you that surfaces that data, so it just looks nice.
Actually,
uh
can you show what that looks like when you share on social?
yeah, I'll go to a workspace maybe, but let me I have one I think for that as well.
I know B
Let me
Dougie shared a Laravel one, but I can't
Yeah. Oh yeah.
remember
Oh yeah. There's a
when
Lambo.
that
Yeah. Here,
was.
Let me check my replies
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
replied to that with an image of a Lambo. Where is it? Oh, side note, but Melky posted this photo of the Go mascot, and I couldn't stop laughing and looking at it. But, anyways,
That's hilarious.
okay. Oh yeah, here it is. Lottery factor. No, that's not it. There was a question we said like if this gets 200 likes, I'm gonna put a Lambo. Okay, so this isn't a repository page, but this is, for example, I'll share this tweet. Just so folks can see the OG image. I'll find one for a repository as well, repository page. But here's if you look at this tweet, this was me just having fun because Rick Henloni, sorry, from the React core team was just saying, oh, it's a great time to be in our ecosystem, and he posted all these interesting projects. Including Solid Start, which is my old coworker Ryan Carnato and team released very recently. So I decided to make a workspace with all those projects just as fun, and because he says "We Are So Back" in the tweet, so I was like, I called the workspace "We Are So Back." Anyways, yeah, I'm trying to. Oh yeah, here's the Laravel one maybe. Oh, you know what? I think he did share the link, but because of the way he shared it, there was already media in the tweet, so it didn't show the OG image. But what we can do
It's
is, yeah, go ahead,
I
Becca.
just want to say, like, Twitter can be weird with that because I saw the OG image yesterday,
Okay.
but there have been times where I like have asked in our team Slack, like, hey, why isn't this showing up as an OG image? And everyone's like, I see it. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think
totally.
that is a uniquely Twitter issue.
Yeah, I've noticed it happen more and more because like I definitely know like on my own website, like for example, or my streaming website, I 100% have an OG image and it should always show up. And I've noticed on Twitter recently it hasn't been. So I'm gonna paste it into Threads because Threads is definitely gonna show it. So I'm gonna post this uh Laravel making moves. I don't know. I'm just gonna post it and I'll delete it after maybe. But I just basically want to show the OG image. Um, so okay, it's kind of tiny. You know what I could do literally is I could just literally load the image. So just let me go to the repo page because I know exactly where it is because I built it. Not the repo page, but the OG image. Let's open up those dev tools. We're going deep in the matrix, people. Okay. Let me just find it. There we go. Okay, cool. So this is essentially what the OG image looks like, and uh, hat tip to is our product designer for designing this. Uh, but the nice thing about these things is they do look good on socials, but also you're able to surface. This is like information that will change over time. So the OG images in general on social platforms, they'll get cached by the platform themselves. But we also cache them, but we only cache like the repo page OG images for like 2 hours. So this might say 395 stars today, but maybe tomorrow it'll say like 400 something. And it's just a nice way to go ahead and share these things. And the same thing with the workspaces. Um, and these are things too, like you know, you're in Slack and you're like, hey, check out this repo, and then you can pop the link in, and you'll get the OG image with some information, and like it's useful information is what I'm getting at, I guess. My brain is starting to melt because I definitely need more coffee, but yeah, I think that's the best way I would summarize it, I guess. Um, Here, let me go ahead and close that. Cool.
Yeah, when I
Oh
also would like to say, I think it helps to showcase our product, the things that we're doing, and the interesting information that we're sharing, right? And like that's a big
yeah,
part of everything we're doing at Open Source, from StarSearch to all of these other features. It's being able to surface information that's not super easy to get right now. And right, that's what makes
yeah,
it valuable, being able to show you the information and to kind of be opinionated about those things. Like it is
yeah,
useful to know what the lottery factor of a repository is, right? That allows you
Yeah.
to support people who are, key contributors to your project, or to recognize like this person needs some help, or hey, if this person drops off, we're going to be in trouble there, right?
Yeah.
So all of this kind of information is helpful to understanding the open source ecosystem. And the more we dig into it, the easier it is for everybody else to kind of identify what's going on there.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna drop this workspace I created because I still like the name a lot. But these are, but in all seriousness, these are the projects that Rick Henloni was mentioning from the React core team. So these are interesting projects. If you're just curious, go check them out. And these will, you can also go to the actual repository pages. So here's the Lotto factor again. So we can see here for this project, it's moderate. So that's not a bad thing at all. Um, Again, context matters, but like my old coworker Ryan Carniato was the one who created this, but he's got a really great community behind this project, and I haven't met Daniel yet, but I have chatted with him online, and he's one of the I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's on the core team now, but it's just great that you know and this is like a general thing we've talked about, Becca, like and I think this gets touched on the maintainer course to kind of bring it back full circle, but like you don't want to become a bottleneck. Like say you create a project and it does get popular. I think it's a good thing to bring in maintainers that are people that are probably passionate or like really involved in the project. They obviously don't have to accept, but typically the people that are contributing the most are it's usually a good signal to potentially invite them to become a maintainer, and we can surface this information a lot easier, I think, too. So yeah.
Yeah, so I'm taking a look at our product hunt page now to see if there are any other comments that we haven't surfaced. There's a lot of good stuff there. I think we have like 150 comments or something. Somebody
Nice.
did say
I,
they're in the process of open sourcing their entire code base, and so they were going to they were going to check out StarSearch to see what they can find with that, which I thought was interesting. I'd love to see what kind of answers they
yeah.
come up with.
Yeah. No, cool. I'm just seeing let's see here. Just seeing if where's the comment. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I encourage you to check out the whole thing. Obviously, we're shamelessly plugging here too, but there's just been lots of great questions like that you've found throughout the day here, Becca. Like I really like that Alex Patterson was able to say like, hey, I'm looking for some devs in these particular tech because uh, I'd like to have them on my podcast. Or Mike Cavalier, just a little while ago, you had shared that one as well, where he's like, I want to compare these two libraries. Which one should I go with? What's the pros and cons? Or maybe even seeing comparing the lotto factors too, because that could be a big decision too. Like if if all things equal and one has a very high lotto factor versus one that's super low, I I would say probably go for the lower one. But it depends, I guess. But um, yeah, there's yeah, and there's all kinds of information here. There's a great walkthrough here. You were talking about Laravel, Becca, so I think this is the video where Izza is talking about it. Izza's our product designer.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep.
cool. Uh,
Yeah,
okay,
so
cool.
that helps you to surface it shows you what you can do with it. And these are just like a little bit of a taste of what you can do with Star Search. So we
Yeah,
definitely, we're refining the process, but we encourage you to explore with it, find out what works for you, and then share with us what you would like to see with Star Search. So there's some great folks here that have been testing it out. You can see all of the people there that are asking questions or commenting, and
yeah.
being part of our product hunt launch.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, no, and thanks. It goes without saying, but I always like to call these things out. Thanks so much for everybody who's been supporting us today. It's really appreciated, and yeah, it's I won't lie. It's been a long day for us because I think we're running on fumes now. But I do appreciate everybody that's been joining us in the chat here and stuff, and I know everybody's busy, so I do appreciate it. Um, I'm
Why don't
wondering,
we
is
just
there?
spend the I was
Yeah,
going to
go
say,
ahead. Sorry.
I think maybe it's useful just to spend the last bit of time just showcasing StarSearch and the questions. So we can
Yeah,
go through the regular run through of questions, but we can see how it answers questions that we haven't run through yet.
yeah, and full disclosure, we're not sure in some cases what it will return. So, but it'll be good to give this a go. Do you have any offhand, Becca, that you're thinking of, or I can try and think of something if not.
I think, well, we have the unique case of asking about people who are involved in different languages. So the
Oh yeah,
example there, I think, is Rust and Tailwind, but we
yeah,
can play with that a little bit, see some other types of things, and how it answers those questions. You
okay.
know what I really would like to do, but I don't have. I want to do 6 degrees of Evan Bacon, but I
Oh yeah,
don't
yeah.
know how to do that with Star Search. So
Okay,
let's
okay,
just
yeah.
start asking it about Evan Bacon and then figure out how we can connect to him.
Okay, who is at Evan Bacon? And for folks who well, I don't know him personally, but I do know he's involved with the Expo project, which is the React Native project. I think that's his handle. I don't think anybody else on the planet's called
It
Evan
is.
Bacon. Yeah, all right, cool. Okay, so I'll let this finish here, but yeah, boom. Cool. So let's scroll back up here. So who is Evan Bacon? So um, Evan is an active contributor to the Expo repository. We can do we have that? Yeah, we can go to that after. But and basically it's just showing some recent pull requests. Again, like we've mentioned throughout the stream today, and this isn't specific to StarSearch, but when you query things, large language models aren't deterministic, so like it could give you different information every time you ask the same question. But okay, so we know that Evan works on Expo. Um, so I know we know people that are connected to him and connected to us, like um like Jamin, for example, from Infinite Red. Like I'm wondering how, like, should like how do you want to frame this, like, because I don't think it's gonna understand it. Maybe it will, maybe it does understand, what 6 degrees of separation from Evan Bacon. I don't know.
I don't think it does. I think
Okay.
initially I did ask that question.
Okay.
But I think the closer you can get is like, how is at Nikki T online related to Evan Bacon? Or where
Yeah.
have Evan Bacon and Nikki T online overlapped?
Yeah.
So I've been trying to play this game and find myself closer to Evan Bacon, but I'm very far. So uh,
Okay.
maybe once I revive my React Native project, it's an Expo project actually, then it will
Yeah.
tell me.
Yeah, side note, I'm gonna be live streaming a project with Ignite, the project from Infinite Red, which does use Expo.
Yeah.
Um, did this finish? Or wait, let me. I have a feeling this is a good thing, but I think a lot of people are using Star Search now, so uh, it. Okay, there we go. It could be a UI thing. Okay, so where has Nikki T online and Evan Bacon overlapped? Okay, so didn't give a response. Um, it's possible that there's literally nothing, but this is actually a good. I'm gonna take note of this question because we can look at this after the stream. I can talk to John and see, like, I can look in. I don't really want to debug in the dev tools right now, but I'm just gonna take a note of this. Um, Let me just pop this in Slack. Da, 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 da. Cool. All right. Okay, so that
So I
didn't give
asked
anything.
where I have overlapped with Evan Bacon, and it told me that there's no direct overlap in pull requests between us. So
Okay.
that's a little bit closer than
Yeah.
nothing. That's definitely closer than nothing.
Okay, let's see here. The other thing too is like if this is not giving us what we want, this is where we can iterate on improving Star Search too, right? So yeah, this could be like improving the how we handle the prompt. Okay, so you're right. You got a better answer. um, Okay, so it says there doesn't appear to be an overlap in contributions between Epic HW and Evan Bacon. Why don't we do because there's nothing for either of us, but like we know Jamin works in React Native land, so Jamin Holmgren. Yeah, I think that's his handle. So let's see what happens here. I'm assuming it's going to say there's some overlap here because I'm pretty sure Jamin's contributed to Expo and maybe I think the Expo team might have contributed to Ignite, but I'm curious what it has to say. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, so it found a here, let's go back up here. So it says they overlap on this repository called do-lab-open-source. Interesting. Um, and here are some of their activities. And if I hover over these, okay, these are pull requests. And okay, cool. Oh, interesting. So that gave us I mean, I was kind of cheating there because I know they both work in the same space to some degree. So, but no pun intended with the degree there. But I think this is something we could improve upon, or I'm curious about this actually. I'm gonna see like who would be good to collaborate with on a TypeScript project or something like that. Or do you think that sounds okay? I
Yeah.
again we're not that we were really on a script to begin with so much, but okay, let's see. Who are some folks that have contributed recently to TypeScript projects that would be good to collaborate with on a new project? I don't know if that's too long, but
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't tried longer prompts. It would be interesting to experiment with that.
okay. So if we look here, okay, so basically Ryan Kavanaugh is like one of the leads on the TypeScript project, so like definitely a good person to pair out a project potentially, but and Sanderson here, I think they work at Microsoft now, but they originally created the Definitely Type project. This was like the project. It's still around, but it's like when projects weren't written in TypeScript and people needed types, that was the project you would put them in. But um but yeah, maybe it's because like uh I guess it thought maybe I meant the TypeScript repository, so maybe that's why it's surfacing these particular people. Um,
Mm.
but maybe if I don't know, trying to think how I could make this a bit better as a question. Um, who would be okay? Let's see here. Who is someone that programs in Rust that would be good to collaborate with on a new project? I don't know if it's going to start giving me like Rust core maintainers or very curious. And I've ignored the chat the past 5 minutes because my brain tuned out. Let me go check. I use saying itchy to debug. Yeah. Okay. So let's see here. Let me go back up here. Okay. I don't know who these people are, but here. Okay. See, yeah. See, they're saying these are significant contributors. So it's which is not a bad thing, but like I guess I guess I was trying to think of like something more casual, like, but I guess I would have to narrow it down, like who is not on the core team maybe or something, or I don't know. Again, this kind of goes to the point I was mentioning to John. I can't remember if you were on or off at this point, Becca, but like one thing I like about prompt engineering is it forces you in a good way, I think, to really communicate what you want, you know? So like instead of me just saying
Yeah.
like, you know, what's Becca working on, you know, that might be too broad, you know, like it might be better to say something like, you know, uh what has Becca been working on in repository X recently or something like, you know, or sometimes it's just, yeah, it's not even that it's too broad, it's just it can be super vague maybe what you ask sometimes. So I find it's kind of nice, like I do this all the time with like Copilot or ChatGPT when I'm like asking something about like for code, and I'm like, no, that's not what I meant, you know, like, or like that's correct, but do it for this as well, you know, like I refine my answer or my question over and over. And I think that's a neat thing about prompting, like, because sometimes people are just terrible at asking questions, and I think this kind of forces you. Oh hey, Robodom just joined in the chat. Not sure what your real name is, Robodom, but I've seen you in the chat all week this week, so appreciate you joining us. Same with IU, who's still here with us. I know it's a little later in the evening. Well, it's not super late, but it is. It's, I think it's like maybe 8 or 9 your time, IU, so not super
7.
super late maybe, but 7. Okay, but yeah,
It
I've
might
noticed.
be 7 or 8.
Okay, but yeah, Robodom's been in the chat. I've noticed them every day, I believe. Maybe not the first day. I can't
Yeah.
remember. Feels like it was like forever ago. I can't believe we're on day 4 actually. I'm like,
I
it's been
feel
a lot
like
of.
it's just been one long day.
Yeah. No, it's been fun. Like I said this before, like we've been doing a lot of work to get the stuff out here for the product hunt launch and the lunch week. But I've honestly been having a lot of fun. I am very tired today, like to be honest, like we kind of mentioned before. I'm definitely getting another coffee after, but I've just been really excited about all the stuff we've been building, and you know, this, I don't know, just a lot of excitement working on, I don't know. It's just fun working on stuff you actually enjoy working on, you know? So,
Yeah, and we've just got a couple of minutes here left. So I kind of want to recap for anyone that's joining us late so you know where we're at. This is lunch week for OpenSauce, where we're launching something every day at lunchtime. And we on Monday we launched our maintainer course. Tuesday we launched new PR and issue tables on Workspaces 1.5. On Wednesday, we launched repository pages with the lottery factor. You can find out all about this on our lunch week landing page. So there's resources there for you, more information. So definitely check that out. And then today we have our big launch. This is our product hunt launch. This is a brand new feature. It just went live. Anybody that has an OpenSauce account, which is free, can use StarSearch today. So definitely check it out. You can ask questions. And so you might say like, oh, well, why can't I just use ChatGPT or GitHub Copilot? You
yeah.
can, but the way that we've built this tool, it's specifically looking at Git commit history. And so this
Yeah.
gives us better and more accurate results than you'll be able to receive with those other tools. So somebody said, wait, what? There was a quote, something on steroids. It's like, did you
Oh
see
yeah,
that
it's
quote?
yeah, saw that on Twitter. Let me find it because I got tagged on it, I think, or no, I retweeted it. There. Let me go to Twitter real quick. Okay, cool. Let me just check my profile real quick because I definitely retweeted that this morning. Oh, here. Yeah. Mark Seitz said the GitHub contributor tab on steroids. I'll just drop that in the chat for anybody interested. Um, cool. Here we
And so this
go.
is just the beginning for StarSearch. I think, there are a lot of great questions you can ask it. You can ask it about the types of pull requests someone has worked on, or somebody that has technical expertise in multiple languages and name those languages, or, what the
Yeah.
lottery factor is on a repository. So there's lots of things that you can ask about the contributors and about how that impacts the project. So definitely check that out. Definitely head over to Product Hunt. and leave us some feedback or comments. If there's a feature you would like to see, please leave it there. And also, please share with your friends and encourage them to leave us some feedback and to say what kind of features you would like to see from StarSearch, so we can continue to improve this and make this a tool that you really would like to use on a daily basis.
Yeah, no, yeah, thanks for summarizing that, Becca. And I dropped a link to the product hunt again, as well our Discord as well. For folks who might not be in the Discord, if folks want to join our community, feel free to head on over there. Uh, yeah, we're at like
This is it.
159
We
our
are
time. Yeah,
159. This is our third hour of doing this, so we crushed it. High
yeah,
five.
yeah. We
We
did
ate
it,
our
Joe.
pizza
We did it.
on the live stream.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No,
we will be back again. We'll be in Product Hunt all day today. So you can definitely find us over there. Feel free to tag us in any comments that you want us to see, or respond to us on Twitter. And we'll be back for our last day of live stream of the week tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central Time. So check that out.
yeah.
There, Nick and I will be here. B. Dougie will definitely be here. And I think John might too.
Yeah, and yeah, no, just thanks again, Becca. It's been a busy week, but it's always awesome hanging out with you. And thanks again, everybody in the chat, on all the socials. And yeah, stay saucy, and we will see you tomorrow. And Becca, if you don't mind just staying on for 1 second, and take
Yep.
care, everybody.